Dake pinyi ni dwaro ng'iyo makonyo ganda. Osiepo puonjane wangwana wuotho kanyachiel. Tidang'eyo gima mar pinyi ni dwaro osiepe mabeyo beyo. Jodongo puonja ng'ama dongo chamo nyinge. Okonyo ahinya. Dake pinyi ni dwaro ng'iyo makonyo ganda luo. Osiepo puonjane wangwana wuotho kanyachiel. Wenyo ngima mar pinyi ni dwaro osiepe mabeyo beyo.
Haiwezekani. Lunch kwa bili ya mwanasiasa. Haiwezekani. Ni wewe mwenyewe ujitume kama kijana. Lazima ujitume, uende ujitafutie. I had one speaker here say that alitoka nyumbani akaenda wapi? Nairobi, akasema hata rudi vile venye alifanya nini? Alienda. So you decide to make a change in your life. All that we ask from the leaders is to create an enabling environment and to identify those people leaders who can do that. It's up to you, the youth, or it's up to the voter to vote wisely. Usipige kura kwa sababu someone amejitokeza siku moja, for example, when mko na event, aseme leo na wanunulia nini? Kakitu. So that will be just a lunch for one day. What happens for the remaining days? So we should not be able to sell out our right to vote. Let's use it wisely. Akikupea pesa, hiyo ni sawa, kwa sababu hiyo ni ile tax. Ameenda akachukua, ameileta kura, lakini kura itakuwa ni nini? Ni siri. You vote with your conscience, not with your stomach. Very important. Now, my clarion call this morning is that the youth, wherever you are, let us stand up and be registered as voters. Kweni kadi. Sindio? That movement of Niko kadi ilivuma sana. Lakini ilivuma sana kwa in towns. Haikufika huko kwetu. Several times a number of youth visited our office and the county wakisema jipangeni tunakuja. Tukajipanga, every time tunajipanga hawatokelezei. Tunajipanga hawatokelezei. So can we create a movement, especially guided by the artists and musicians, because you have that ability of mobilizing people. You can mobilize the youth. Pass the message. Let them see registration as a very critical stage. I've said that this is a phase. After registration, tutaenda nini? Kupiga kura. Na huwezi piga kura kama hauna ujaregister kama mpiga kura. And what is required for you to register as a voter is what? A national identity card and a valid passport if you opt to use a passport. Na ujue ni wapi unataka kwenda kupiga kura, then you go and register there. Usiende uregister point A na wewe intention yako ni kwenda kupiga kura point B. Hapo itakuwa umechoma kura. So you register where you intend to go and vote. Kwa wale ambao tayari ni wapiga kura, you may wish to transfer your vote. That service is available. Though this time round we do it from the office. And also you can be able to check if you are a registered voter using the IBC portal. If you go to IBC portal, you can be able to do that. What's the link, Bwana ICT, for verifying the status.
Okay, the link is verified. Can search, Okay, thank you. The link is verify.iebc.or.ke. You simply search the link verify.iebc.or.ke.
That is the link. If you registered recently, you might not be able to find your name. The reason being that the register is still being processed. By the time we start another registration, that register will be ready, and all people who registered as a voter during the recent concluded exercise yenye tulikuwa tunaita ECVR1 watakuwa wamewekwa kwa hiyo register. Now, another critical aspect that maybe I need to mention is that the question of disputes will always arise in any electoral process. Disputes will always arise. They can arise from maybe during registration of voters. Someone can do it, come out and raise a complaint that I applied to be registered as a voter, but at the end of the day, I'm not in the register. So that one can be handled, one, by the registration officer who sits at the constituency office. If you have such complaint, you visit our office, the registration officer can be able to guide you on what you need to do. Another important thing that worth noting is that dispute can also arise during candidate registration. It's very popular, this one. Wakati wa nomination, political parties, they do their primaries. During their primaries, there could be complaints which will arise, and any Kenyan can always launch a complaint with the IBC. Or they can do it with the political party dispute resolution committee. In IBC, we have a dispute resolution committee, which is headed by commissioners. And also we have experts from the court who will come and chair the panels that will hear those disputes. Probably you approached a commission during nomination, and during that nomination, for some reason, the returning officer declines to clear you. Okay? If the returning officer declines to clear you, that you can approach the IBC Dispute Resolution Committee and launch a complaint. That Dispute Resolution Committee will sit and consider look at your complaint, look at the facts, and they can be able to make such complaint to the IBC Dispute Resolution Committee. By law, the committee has between 10 and 14 days to make a determination. Once they make a determination, that is not final. Sometimes you may feel that you are not satisfied. The law gives you a leeway. You can appeal by approaching a judicial court and launch your complaint. Okay? So basically, that is, we can talk about the dispute resolution, and there's a number of disputes which can come during the preparation of elections. Now, from the boundaries, which is equally a mandate by IBC, disputes are likely to arise. But before we talk about disputes that come from the boundary delimitation, the boundary delimitation is guided by law that between 8 and 12 years, the commission is supposed to review boundaries. In our case, we did our first boundaries. When did we review last the boundaries? Who can remember? When did we do the boundary review? It was 20 what? 2009. Any different opinion? Buonaro, Bondo, when did we do boundary review?
In the year 2010.
In the year 2010. It's not far from 2009. 2010, we did a review of boundaries. And since that time, we've not done any. We passed that provision of the law, 8 to 12 years. Now, that is a question which is really bothering Kenyans, because Kenyans feel that in some areas they are highly populated and the representation is not equitable. So because we do review the boundary so that we have equitable representation. So there is a demand for a review. However, as a commission, and this time around the commission is not in a position to do what? To do a review. And there is a good explanation to that. After 2022, the commission as an entity did not have commissioners. Wakati wale walienda, the commission ikakaa bila makamishina. And by law, the commission is the commissioners. Bila commissioners, huwezi fanya any activity. They must sit in plenary, pass a resolution for the boundaries to take place. Now, the current position on boundary, the commission gave an approach of doing it in phases. The first phase, what the commission has done, is to do the preparation. They've done a document to guide the review. That is an operation plan, the technical part of it, and they have collected data. But because of the competing activities between now and 2027, it is not possible to focus on boundary review. Because boundary review is a very emotive issue. It requires an elaborate preparation, engaging the public participation. So, because of that, we've only done the technical aspects, and we'll have it on hold immediately after the GE of 2027 will revert into the comprehensive of boundary review. That message is very important, such that ukipita huku wasi interact with the people. Ukisikia wakisema boundary itafanywa, ambia haitafanywa kwa sasa, itafanywa after the GE. Now, boundary as a whole, it is guided in law, and you can find it in Article 89. It actually states what the commission ought to do during boundary review. Another technical aspect which will make it not possible to review, during the census of 2009 census, that census report, somebody went to court and challenged the validity of that particular report from the court declared that report invalid. Now, and during boundary review, population is a very critical parameter for determining the delimitation of constituencies. Because there is no a valid document that the commission can rely on, and that's one reason that the commission had to put that one on hold. You cannot go against the law and proceed without obeying the legal position. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude my presentation. And before I do that, quickly I want to talk about how can the citizens hold the commission into account. How can the citizen hold the commission into account? You can hold the citizens into account, one, by participating actively in the electoral process. Because you cannot be able to hold the commission into account without participating. Participate in the electoral processes, and also if there are malpractices during that period, report such a thing, and also the processes. Tukifanya kama ni registration, you are free to do what? To monitor. If it is election, you are free to monitor how we conduct what? Election. That's the only way you can hold the commission into account. Make demands, okay? Push the commission to the limits so that we can be able to do the right thing. So there is no way we can be able to deepen democracy without working together with the citizens in every stage. Sawa. With those few remarks, allow me to bring my presentation to the end. Thank you and be blessed. Kama kuna swali, munaweza uliza maswali.
There's one here. Good morning. You can call me Robinson Geke. I'm Onyango Geke. I'm a visual artist. So, according to venye umesema umongelea, we can report if there is some misconduct. So, I was asking, where do we take the report directly? Because maybe unaweza tuambia tuipeleke kwa IBC office, ni kama unaenda kushtaki deputy principal kwa principal.
Reporting of malpractice, we have agencies that deal with any misconduct, abuse of the law. We have the Office of the Criminal Investigation. You can report such, and if it is corruption related, we can also report to the same office, which will be taken up by the anti-corruption agencies and deal with such. But also, it's important to raise the same complaint to the commission. If let's say you want to raise a complaint about an officer in the field, let's say in the constituency, you have a leeway to do the reporting to the county elections manager. If it is the county elections manager that has an issue, you have a leeway to do it to the commission directly. We have a website that is where you can be able to write an email, raise a complaint. But if we are talking about issues that which are of criminal nature, definitely you take it to the director of criminal investigation, because it's a crime. A crime will be dealt by the laws of the country.
Just to add on what Mr. Juma has said, there is the office of the Ombudsman. Officially, it's known as the Commission on Administrative Justice. I remember previously the MP for Rarieda used to head it.
Thank you so much, Bwana Okubasu, for those clarifications. There are so many places you can be able to report.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Fidel Juma. I'm a storyteller, an African storyteller. Yes, so IBC, it stands for Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And from what you said, IBC is a body that governs the electoral process in Kenya. So I just want you to clarify, what's the best advice you can give you as a citizen of Kenya? You are supposed to take part in every electoral process. Am I on the right track?
Participating in an electoral process, it is a right that you've been given by the Constitution. It's not that one particular individual is donating that right to you. It is the Constitution, right? That every citizen ought to take up. If we are talking about voter registration, hiyo ni haki yako. We are talking about voting, hiyo ni haki yako. Who to vote for, that is your right. Demanding for certain actions from an electoral body, hiyo ni haki yako. And you have been given that by the Constitution. That's why I say that you are invited in every electoral process, so that you can make your voice to be heard. Sawa sawa.
Yes, hello. My name is Marcel, but they call me Mnati. I had a question. What if I was to vote today? I've casted my vote, then I realized I missed. Can I change? Like, is there any way I can change my voting?
We are now at the electoral during election period. Sio? Siku ya kupiga kura. Umeingia kwa and imeangaliwa na wale makarani wameona you qualify to vote. The 6 ballot papers. Sawa ya president, ya MP, women rep, MCA, senator na governor. 6 of them. And you go to the booth. Si hapo ndio unaenda kumark. Una mark maybe kwa moja una realize umefanya nini? Umeharibu. So tunasema ukirealize kabla ya kutumbukiza uko na haki ya kurudi kwa ule presiding officer nimefanya nini? Nimemaki vibaya. Tafadhali nipatie nyingine. Sheria inakuruhusu, PO anachukua hile anaiandika kuwa spoiled, then anakupatia nyingine mpya, alafu na mark correctly, then you cast the vote. But you have the right to do that not more than 3 times. Huwezi pita mara 3. So ukipitisha mara 3 sasa hiyo itakuwa umepoteza. Sasa
just a quick question. My name is Zach. We've been voting, you know, so I would want to know one thing. We've been having issues when we are voting, and then we get, after vote ishafanyika, kunakuwa na maneno baadaye. So what is that one thing that you're going to promise us this time utafanya tofauti yenye itatufanya sisi wenye tunataka kuvote endelee kuvote? Just one thing.
One thing to encourage you to continue voting. Very important. Be part and parcel of the election process, so that you witness what happens. Kuna story mingi huwa zinatokezea kwamba candidate akifika saa zile kura zake zimehesabiwa, anasema kura zangu does not bear every stage from recruiting of poll officials, ambapo they are the youth, ni watu tunatoa kwa kijiji. Polling takes place in a polling station. Na polling station ziko wapi? Si ziko hapa mashinani? Ziko hapa mashinani. And the process happens transparently. Inafanya mjana. That's why we say that you hold IBC into account by taking part in the electoral process. And a deliberate thing is that candidates who are participating, they are given a chance to have their agents in the polling station. But citizens equally, when you do the setup like this one, sanduku inafunguliwa asubuhi, inaone kila mtu ana witness. Hivyo tunafunga pamoja, sio commission peke yake. The seals which are used, they are made public. In fact, the agents record them ikifungwa. Na hiyo sanduku ikishafungwa, tunafanya the polling. Then when it comes to counting, zinakatwa, tuna empty zile ballot papers, tunazikagua pamoja, maajendi wakiwa hapo. The media is allowed to be in the polling station and observers are allowed to be in the polling station. So that is the transparency we are talking about. So there is no particular activity which will take place without including the stakeholders. The stakeholders here, they are agents, observers, media, and the members of the public. So have confidence that the Commission will not at any given point decide to tell you now, for this particular activity, we are going into a corner to do it ourselves. We do it together. And whoever alleges that malpractice has happened, then the due process will always do what? Follow, because the law provides for that. The law envisages that whenever there is any competition, issues will come up. How do you address them? The law gives that particular procedure. But from the Commission is very open. That's why we're here to engage with the public, inform you what we do, and involve every person. Because there is no any other way that which will create confidence apart from involving the citizens in our processes.
Oh, okay, thank you. My name is Vincent Omudiliambo. Concerning the IBC body. So first, that we can use to vote. But why the IBC have just chosen this matter of ukize? Mbona wamechagua hiyo na wasichague hata kama ni online voting? That can lead to transparency at a point. Second, why do we as African countries, we import the voting materials from the Westerners, where I believe that they can be produced here in Africa? Thank you.
There are two questions. Let me start with the first one. Why stick with the method of, our method is registration is digital, identification is digital, but voting is manual. So it's an hybrid. Why are we stuck with the manual one? You are being given the ballot. It's not IBC that it decides. The electoral process is governed by the law. It's not somebody's feelings, emotions. I need to do this, do it that way. It's the law. The existing law demands that you get a ballot paper, go to a booth, mark and cast. The views you have given are very progressive. The Commission assists on such. There are so many similar proposals that why can't we make voting to be digital, real time? So it is an issue that has to go through public participation, and Parliament passes a law on digital voting. As we speak, there is no law that governs digital voting. So if we say we want to do digital voting, that's an irregularity. So until such a time that we have a law that governs digital, and many Kenyans have expressed the view and the concern that let us have digital so that we reduce human intervention in these processes. So that could be something for the future. But for now, the law only talks about you mark and you cast. And why do we get ballot papers from, why do we import? Why do we go to Greece? Why do we go to Dubai to source our ballot papers? The answer is very simple. It's a question of trust deficit. Politicians do not trust that Kenyans can be able to print the ballot papers, be kept safe, and be used without manipulations. So until such a time that we engage with the public, that we all agree that printing the papers locally does not make it inferior, such that we trust companies from outside Kenya. So currently it's a question of trust. The trust deficit is what really making the commission to do that. I hope I'm clear on that.
Since there's no one who has a question, I think I'm just going to ask two questions. And this is because most of us here and era of social media, rumors travel faster than the truth. Like it's a rumor. I call it a rumor, but I believe most people here believe it is the truth. For me, I had to go and read it to understand. So my question is, just so you clarify to them, so that even when they make content telling their peers to register and vote, does the IBC not allow cameras inside a polling station? That was a rumor, I think, this past week. Secondly, is there an age limit for the position of the president? Thank you.
Bondo, you respond to the age limit. Allow the cameras in the polling station. IBC does not refuse cameras in the polling station. What privacy of marking. Wakati wewe unachagua, voting is what? It's private. It is confidential. It's not open for everyone to know. So and so a vote. Such that saa zile Juma na mark ile ballot paper yake, kamera inafanya nini? Inamulika. That is not that is against the law. So it is not the commission refusing, but the law does not allow exposing how a voter votes. The cameras can show what is happening, but that privacy ya huyu mpiga kura ambayo katiba imempa, hiyo ndio tunasema isingatiwe. Wewe mwenyewe unajua ni nini umefanya, ni nani umepigia. Kura ni siri. Na hiyo kura ni siri, ni sheria imekupea. Lakini sasa media ikikuja inamulika saa zero na mark, inaonesha kwamba umepigia so and so. Sio amekiuka sheria. Takuwa amekiuka sheria. Lakini media kukua in the polling station It does not contravene any law. And in our polling station setup, there is a place where we have reserved for the media. A place we have reserved for observers. A place we have reserved for agents and the poll officials. Sawa. Bonaro.
Thank you. Remind me your name, please. Gabiro. Yeah, you asked about the age limit for the position of the president. Currently, we do not have any age limit. Even if you are 120 years old, you can still vie for the presidency. Is it clear? Thank you. The minimum is 18, but remember there are other qualifications that you must meet. If you meet them as a youth, then I encourage you to have a stake at it. You are the majority, remember. Who is willing to? Congratulations. I'll vote for you.
Thank you.
I think we have one question here. I'm going to have only 2 questions. One from him and then the last one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Paul. Now I have a question here to the IBC. Why does it take much time to do the no? What measures are you taking to ensure this doesn't happen again like last year? It really created tension because after voting and doing the counting, now you know the citizens were, the whole nation was waiting for the outcome. Then you guys took a lot of time. Mlisema itatangaza tena ikapita, create a lot of tension, and you saw what happened. So what measures are you taking so that next time isikuwe kitu kama hiyo isi happen tena? Then just to bring to your attention, kukuwa tu an agent hapo hivyo IBC mara unaangalia vitu kama hizo. Election ikaribia ku happen. Ili uchukuliwe ni kazi ngumu, sijui kuna ubaguzi hapo, corruption na iko. Hata okay nini na iko. Nimejaribu nikakosa.
Let me start with the last one. Umejaribu kuwa agent haupati, kuna corruption. Agents ni watu gani? The agents represent candidates and political parties. We have candidate agents and political party agents. Now, the law gives candidates the authority to recruit their agents, and also the political party to recruit their agents. So you realize that the commission has little influence on the question of who becomes an agent. Who becomes an agent is determined by the candidate and the political party. So if you have dreams of being an agent, then belong to a political party. Of your choice, and work closely with this particular candidate. When such a time arises, you will be given an opportunity to be an agent. Now, if you cannot make it through that route, you can also belong to some organizations, the observer groups. Kuna observation groups, either from the church, African group. There are so many. If you belong to those groups, you can come as an observer. Or you can equally apply to the commission. to be accredited observer, but not to be given an opportunity to be an agent, because an agent must represent a political party or a candidate. Hiyo iko sawa? Now, why does the commission take so long to announce the results? It takes time to announce the results, especially presidential results. At the constituency, or let's start from the polling station. After the close of polling, tukifunga mambo ya kupiga kura, immediately the PO starts to prepare for the counting of what? Votes. If you look at our electoral system in Kenya, we conduct 6 elections at the same time. Presidential, ukuje mambo ya governor, MP, MCA, women rep, and senator. Now, that process ought to be lengthy because of the number of elections we are conducting. The counting has to start procedurally from presidential until the last one, I think that's women rep. PO takes time to count for presidential and read the results. Amalize kabisa, announce your results kwa polling station. Na afunge kila kitu, aweke hiyo sanduku kando. I just want you to visualize the magnitude of the work and go through to every ballot box, 6 of them. Definitely that PO will not be ready with those results after, let's say, 2 hours after close of that particular polling station. This is done manually. It's not automated. Because this is a manual process, counting is done manually, documentation is manual, because that the law says. The law ichapita ile ya kusema we can count votes the way probably we count money in a bank. Ungekuwa unachukua hiyo ballot papers, unaweka kwa machine, inahesabu. But the law itself, the way it prescribes the process, makes that process definitely to take time. Until such a time that the law is revised to have some digital online voting the way my friend had proposed, such that there is little intervention, that's human intervention. Something is, every process is automated. As long as it's manual, it's bound to take time. Now, once it moves from the polling station, it will go to the constituency. Then at the constituency, a similar process will be followed. Then from there, take it to the National Tallying Center, and that one also takes some time. So the only promise that we'll give is that the Commission will always improve the processes, being informed by the previous elections. But it's a point we've taken into consideration for the purpose of improving the entire process. Thank you.
Anyone with a last question? Oh, I think the questions have been exhausted. Ama munaogopa? Unaogopa kuuliza? Uliza hata na Kiswahili. Basi muulize hata jina yake, najua ukupata hiyo.
Repeat as your name.
Thank you so much. My name is Ezekiel Juma. the county elections manager, Siaya, Ezekiel Juma. Ezekiel Juma comes from Kisii. I think that's a bid that you need to get. I come from Kisii. And the other name is Otieno. Naitwa Ezekiel Juma Otieno. Coming from Kisii. It's confusing, isn't it? But that's my name. Si mimi ni Mkenya? Mimi ninatoka Kisii, majina imebeba ya Wajaruo, imebeba wengine kutoka Mombasa, Juma. Okay? Ezekiel, mimi ni Mkristo. Okay? Nimebarikiwa nikaoa bibi kutoka Western. So unaona venye mimi niko Mkenya. Na makao yangu ni huko Rift Valley. Okay? So that is Juma. I think I've introduced myself enough.
Makofi kwake jamani. Aya, thank you very much. Bwana manager. Thank you for coming and we really appreciate. Thank you very much. Makofi kwake jamani akienda kuketi. Si tumejifunza? Tumejifunza. Tumelearn. Tukajua vitu. Tukaelewa. Tukajifunza zaidi. Sasa nauliza tu swali mbili ya vitu tumejifunza, alafu sasa tuendelee na session. Sasa habari yako Mr. Blackroom, tumejifunza. Tuambie tu vitu mbili tumejifunza leo, na uambie jina yako, kitu unafanya na mali unatoka.
Habari zenyu, naitwa Dera from Blackroom Live. Tuko based hapa Kisumu. Session ya kwanza saa hii imekuwa mzuri. The speaker started by enlightening all of us about IEBC, what its roles are. We learned that it's not only an election body, but it's also involved in matters boundaries. He also went ahead and also enlightened us further into the need for registration. Hata katu challenge sote hapa tuangalie kama tuko registered, na kama hatuko we take the necessary steps. I also I especially love that because I'm one of the people who also talked about it a few weeks ago, the matter that was going round about cameras being allowed inside the polling stations. I'm glad that he's expounded on that, and we are all going home with that in our minds. So many other things he's talked about, and I believe kila mtu amepata yake. Zangu ni hizo na mengine. Asante.
Aya, asanteni sana. Makofi kwake. Sasa naona tumekaa tuko tu. I think ni kwa sababu tumeshiba. Jalupo is feeding us very well here, and thank you very much. Wacha banya kama moko chama gapele huora. Pamle Jalupo bwana. Uchamoga bacon pele. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce briefly on this stage my brother there, Prof. Adul. Nataka tuchangamuke kido? Tuchangamuke kido? Yes, tunamuka. DJ, are you ready? Sasa huyu ndio mdosi yako DJ.
Anzimis mdosi yake man.
Huyu ndio kitu atakwambia, akifanya akisema zima unazima, unabeba unaenda. DJ.
DJ kwanza tuko na msanii hapa manze. Unajua tulia. Utaenda kama spider. Sasa tulia. Sawa. Tuko na msanii hapa na huyu msanii anakuanga freestyle deadly sana. Sasa si tusimame freestyle changamke, tuache hizo manze. Kuja. Wewe kama unataka kukaa ndio unataka kukaa kwa kiti kama Museveni. Leta instrumental alafu msanii wetu watu atuchangamshe kiasi, si ndio? Wagwa na bado. Yeah. Nije wapi ya Museveni?
Yeah.
Wanna tell everybody that hapa tuko party. Tunataka tukuje hizo za mapanda. Element of king nataka kwambia tunamaliza kufanya hiyo. Kila time.
Wewe kazi yako ni kupiga tu makofi. Piga tu makofi bwana wewe. Kazi yako kupiga tu makofi. Piga tu makofi.
Yeah, kill. Yo, kiza. Kila time I'm on my plans, kila time napiga this. Naambia God kila kitu nataka test. Kila ukisikia this sound unajua mpaka Kelly nafanya tuko na duo leo. I thank the IBC people side tumejua kitu tunafaa kufanya kwa hiyo kura yo. I promise that 2027 kila kitu.
Acha wivu bwana. Acha piga
kuniambia like unataka kila msako hapa ti one time two time. Unataka kuprove and upige kura na uelect tu unataka so yeah I'm the king I'm the boss kona dual sinasikia kona gabiro mtu necessary ba leta thanks for course to kame to connect hapa tunaona vitu ambavyo tukuwahi ona leo tumo connect watu wengi I'm grateful na kwanza nakwambia adol nasikia window buru kodinga nilikuwa na juzi kuwa na mja combine I love that bro kila siku unajituma na high pray God aendelee kukubariki yo
asante sana mimi nashukuru tu sana yes wewe mimi nasema yes man na kama nini nakuja na Red Club na kabiri wapi ya kidogo Haya, asanteni sana. Si tumechangamka. DJ, Yes. This is the fisherman's experience. Na mumeona, si mumeona? Tumechangamuka, tujachangamuka. Sasa ukiwa na talent unakuja kwa MC. Mimi naweza kohoa watu wacheke. Alikuja akasema naweza rap watu wada. Mumedansa moja dance. So ladies and gentlemen, first let me appreciate the IBC team for such a brilliant session. We really appreciate. We don't take it for granted. There are things they wouldn't have known. Most of them believe that the minimum age ya kukuwa president ni huko 35. So na leo umeambia mtu ya 18 anaweza kuwa president. Wameanza kufikiria sasa imebaki tu pesa ya majano. Na nikuwe president, si ndio? Tuwapigie makofi mara ya mwisho. And then right about now, allow me to invite Costa Ojuang so that atujaze na wisdom donge. Akuja tujaze na wisdom. Pia hapa ni wisdom tu tukisonga wisdom. Makofi yake akikuja jamani.
DJ. Mbona mnaongea ni kama kwa rally? DJ. Asante for come today again. Thank you so much for having time and showing up. Naona mmelala poa mnaka fresh. Sijalala enough. Nilienda ku dance Tony Nyadundo jana usiku. But do we say? Usually Kinagabiro think that I have wisdom. I don't. I write things, I cram. So leo sijakuwa enough time ya kukram. I brought my phone. What's happening today in civic engagement? Things like this do get boring. So I'm happy that I'm jaenda. Bado mko hapo. Na nimeona Gabira amesimamisha mdance kidogo. Juu nikaa ameona hata mimi nilikuwa napiga kichwa hivi. So asante for wisdom. That's what wisdom is. Now, I wrote some things. Hii si kitu ya pastors. Yes, sijai tumia hii kitu. Yes, so as I was saying, I have some pointers. I truly believe that forums like this are necessary, especially for younger people. Me being one of them, I'm just exiting my youth age. Niko na miaka mbili ya cause mayhem before I should kunita youth. So forums kama hizi are truly very important. Ndo mtoke hapa na knowledge na also a wider understanding of how things happen. Most of us are not very keen for policies, but they dictate how we, live our lives. Dictate what we eat. They dictate what kind of phones we can afford. They dictate what kind of clothes we can wear. So, the art is equally as important as these convoys. Now, why do I believe we should be involved? I think because the voice that this group has collectively might be bigger than the voice that the professionals have on this side collectively. Now we hardly see it like that because Hii side imejaa na dreams mingi, tunataka kufika the US, conquer the world, be Mr. Beast, be the next Burna Boy. But then we tend to ignore the things that are so close to home, which equally plays a bigger part in that vision of being the greatest ever. Now, leadership is collective responsibility, I think so. And there's people who make policies, which also so there's people who make policies, and then there's others who do oversight. Now, me as an artist, I think kazi yetu kubwa ni kumira these two segments. Huyu akimake policy, na huyu anafanya oversight. Mimi ndio kioo. Na ile voice yako umerap nayo hapa. I'd want to employ you guys to be as free and bold in talking about these issues. Kuongea about kama sahi, a lot of people are not my huge fans. Dalawa Migori coach and kish dog attack. So nothing wrong tech. I guess it's a nothing wrong tech marach. Cheki kwa chuma oni go winjire god. I couldn't say that in English because I feel like the soul of that get lost in translation. So mkwe free na mkwe na the will, the will to be able to go and walk through that journey and write songs, tell stories, question things, because in those lines of questioning things ndo tunapata solution hapo, na tunaelewanaga hapo. Tunaweza kosa kuelewana, but the conversation is wider now, and then you find where you're going na mahali unaingia. Ingine ni scratch my back, scratch your back. Obura go. Obura anasemaga, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So if you have questions today, tumeleta professionals hapa, tumeleta watu from IBC. I'm happy that I caught a little bit of the session. There's many people going to talk about these things. Kama kuna swali yoyote, isikuwe Gabiro peke yake nauliza mambo ya president na terms za president. Uliza hata ya MCA. Kama unataka kusimama MCA, unataka kusimama MP, muulize hizi maswali na ujue what is your responsibility as a citizen first, to yourself and your neighbor, and then to the greater republic. Uliza swali za responsibility yako as a voter and why it's necessary to vote people with the right policies. It hurts me that sometimes kuna kuwa na spaces kama hizi, and then people come, experts come and they talk and we listen. And then kesho tunapigia mwenye kuna pesa mingi kwa campaign. Anasema, na chamweche, nitakula maneno. So tuzitie manani so that when people come and say what they have, you can vet them. You have the authority to weigh them and see whose things has more substance na nani ako na hot air. So kabla niende niongee sana na sijaitwa hapa niandike wimbo, nataka kuinvite Mr. akuje aongee. Give it up for Faith that she comes. Then karibu sana. Kabila angesema mimi siongei. Shida ni yeye amenipea microphone na akaenda tu.
I wasn't even in the program, but niliongea jana, but nice to meet you again. Kwa majina ni Janet Otero. Mimi ni wakili nafanya Nairobi. I do a lot of things in the tech digital economy space. And we are happy to see what's happening today in terms of organizing the future of this country into workshops that you are able to get meaningful message. Na nifanye Costa amesema itakuwa ina make sense, tunaongea alafu siku ile data inatolewa unasikia this percent of young voters didn't show up to vote, or this percentage of young voters are the ones who voted for whoever is serving whatever term. So we are hoping as we have this engagement mtapata something yenye mtabeba kutoka hapa, and then we multiply times 10 in your family WhatsApp group, in your friends WhatsApp group, so that we make an impact. So I want to invite the main keynote speaker for this particular session, Faith Odhiambo, Emeritus LSK President, Ms. Anguka Nayo, mover of the movement. Faith has served as LSK President dutifully, courageously, fearlessly, and she's here to just discuss some of the arising issues in terms of good electoral practice and constitutionality, and how you can use your art kama kioo to what is good governance. So karibu sana Faith.
Habari yenu? Amuso ubinade. Ubinade. Unokuchie mubukini. Ugimi ubimoro. Kikudeo, lunch choko. First of all, to thank Costa and the entire team for organizing this, and IBC for being here. Did you see the results and the percentage of those who registered to vote? Mliona? Where was Nyanza? Where was Nyanza? I don't know what Ogimoro. Spirit Ma Baba still lives on. And the only way Spirit of Baba will continue to grow is through each and every one of you. Kau ionge gikuchi, dikau kuchi. Kila mtu nyakobed gikuche. That is your decision-making power. Elections bureau next year. Kikibede what, kikinindi. Unge ngamani ndo next year. Baba chio, bo chio kodwa gukini. You owe it to yourself. Tokiwa actually you believe in what Baba was doing. You must take your and ensure that you take your vote. Unkadi. Mko kadi. Kila mtu ako kadi hapa. It's both a privilege and provocation to stand before you today. A privilege because in this room I see a Kenya that truly is. Not the one for budget cycles and parliamentary procedures, not the one of footnotes and legal briefs, but a Kenya that sings, that carves, that paints, that dances, that raps. The Kenya of Park Rock, that tells stories by fireside and chants that weave the human condition into cloth and clay and verse. A provocation, because the conversation we're opening today is not a comfortable one. It asks us to look honestly at who holds power in this society and whether it's finally time for an artist to take the wheel. Let us begin with a name, the ruler. The artist who is a ruler, reclaiming your pen, the brush, and the stage as instruments of power. Not the ruler that governs from behind walls, not the one who issues commands from a distance, but the ruler, the instrument that draws the line others follow, the guide that determines whether what is built stands true or collapses under imbalance. I put it to you this afternoon that an artist in every society has always been the ruler. Not always recognized as such, not always protected, not always paid what they deserve, but always drawing a line in a generation which eventually follows. The question before you today is simple. Are our artists driving the bus, or are they still being asked to sit at the back seat? To answer that, we must first travel, as all serious African thinkers, through the extraordinary landscape of Okot Bitek. He was a poet, a philosopher, cultural critic, a provocateur. Usewinjo Song of Lawino. Song of Lawino, Gen Zs, have you heard of Song of Lawino? I challenge you to read or find it in the internet. Published in 1966, Bitek gave voice to Lawino, a rural Acholi woman watching her husband Okol abandon everything ancestral in exchange for Western imitation. Lawino did not simply argue against cultural erasure, she made people feel it. That is power of the artist. Not to advocate, to file a petition, yom tuachie. Must be seen and the unheard be heard loud and clear, while the unfelt must devastatingly, inescapably be felt. Through the songs, through the chants, through your poems. You know, Giuliani, through his songs, makes you feel the heartbreak that people felt. When you hear Costa sing, you feel culture come alive. Though culture fusing with what we have today, the younger generation. Okot Bitek believed and built his entire intellectual life around the conviction that art is the primary vehicle through which our people know themselves, govern themselves, and resist those who govern them against their will. A society that silences its artists has severed its own nervous system. It can no longer feel the places where it's broken. This is the foundation on which we build today. I have spent many of my professional life in courtrooms, boardrooms, and conferences. And lately, corridors of justice at police stations, on the streets, defending our sovereignty, we the people. The law has taught me something I wish I had understood much earlier. That most powerful documents in human history are not written by lawyers, they're written by artists. The American Declaration of Independence was literal craftsmanship. The speeches of Frederick Douglass, oratory as architecture. The songs of Mau Mau, banned because the colonial administration knew their power. And Not Yet Uhuru by Jaramogi Odinga. Ngugi wa Thiong'o imprisoned not for filing a motion, but for staging a play in Gikuyu that spoke truth to a government that preferred silence. Kisumu Governor Professor Nyang' Nyong'o exiled because of his literary works while in West Africa. We all know about Ken Saro-Wiwa. The Constitution 2010 is progressive, bold, deeply human, and born in apart from the civic imagination of artists, storytellers, and community voices who dared to say, this is the Kenya we want. The law codifies what the artists first imagined. Before the right to education was ever written in a constitution, someone sang about a child who deserved to learn. Before gender equality was ever legislated, a poet wrote her truth and refused that it was irrelevant. Before environmental rights were ever recognized, a weave of stories made us feel the grief of a dying lake, of a forest that was being taken over. We remember the great words of Professor Wangai Maathai. That is a work of art. Artists are not followers of social change. They are the architects of social change in the quest for a just community. The honest truth is that the artist in Kenya today remains the most underprotected, undervalued, and over-scrutinized member of our society. We have intellectual property laws, sophisticated on paper, yet hardly enforced in practice. We have artists whose work is consumed by millions who die without a pension or medical cover. We have musicians whose songs play in every bar and matatu in this country, but they cannot afford rent. Ours is a political culture that is only too happy to use the artist. Politicians invite you to perform at a rally, to hype the crowd before they come on stage to sing words. You have seen them commission a mural for government buildings, but invite dancers and singers to showcase culture for a visiting delegation. But those calls fall deeply silent when the artist turns around and asks for better pay. Okot Bitek called this cultural imperialism. We might in our own time call it selective amplification. And we have seen even from our neighbors, you're only allowed to sing as long as the song sings to the tune of the ruler. So what do? What does it mean in practical terms for an artist to become a vehicle driver for social change? 3 things. Not a manifesto, not a prescription, and definitely, sio maneno matatu. Art is not a soft skill, it is a civic skill. Costa, when you pick up a paintbrush to paint, a microphone to sing, chant to speak, I like that your attention is on me now. You're decorating the edges of public life. You're giving life to culture and fusing culture and the life of today. Know your rights. The Constitution protects your freedom of expression, and the Copyright Act exists to protect your creative labor. The space between those laws and their enforcement is a space that must be protected by artists who know their legal ground. Don't wait for others to fight for you. Fight for yourselves. It is by asserting the importance of an artist, because you sing the voice of the nation, you sing to the conscience of the society. Organize yourself. I'll give this example. A fisherman knows the value of his net. A single line in the water catches but a few fish if it can catch anything at all. But a net woven of many strings, strong at every knot, changes the outcome entirely. So you must decide as an artist, do you want to practice on your own, sing on your own, fight for your rights on your own, or do you want to work with other artists? Organize yourself, have a strong voice, build associations, participate in public forums, participate in budget making, because artistic work must be budgeted for. Why do other cultures, other governments invest in artists? Commission them to do murals, to do, be involved in the building of architecture in their country, to preserve the culture, because they recognize the importance that artists make, and it has to be budgeted for. So don't say budget making is for lawyers, it's for engineers, it's also for you. Because unless you also strive to ensure that the protection of artists, that investment in artists is also budgeted for, then you'll remain forgotten. Other people will show you the way. And last but not least, choose your audience deliberately. The bus driver who does not know how to drive does not know where they're going. There's a place for an art that speaks to the already converted. But an artist, as the ruler, must also take the vehicle into difficult terrain. Take this message to communities where conversation has not yet started, into spaces where power is comfortable and unchallenged, into the school where a child has never seen their own story reflected back at them. And I would give you a good example. I teach Sunday school, and for the longest time, the depiction of Jesus has always been, Jesus is what color? And so I remember one funny day, one of our parish priests came to see the children. And when they asked who he was, they said, this is Jesus. When other people write your stories, when other people are the ones that determine the course of how you learn, then other people are in charge of your story. Be in charge of your own story. And so this is providential that this is the fisherman's experience and workshop. Be fishermen that move their nets tightly together, working together, by building one another, supporting one another, and having associations that can ensure that your work is protected and that you're able to fight for your rights. As a daughter of the lake, I'm genuinely glad, because the fisherman is one of humanity's oldest metaphors for the artist. Launching your fishing nets into the deep waters, patient with uncertainty, knowing that what you pull up from the depths may surprise you. Understanding that the lake does not owe you a catch, but that it rewards those who study with skill, who respect it with care, who approach it not to conquer but to commune. The Lake Victoria where this community lives is more than geography. It's memory, it's identity, it's our story. So you can lay the ruler fresh. Measure from a different corner, decide what the first line in this page will be drawn where no line has been drawn before. Kenya is still waiting for you to draw your lines. We are a young democracy, a people still negotiating, still arguing, still singing, still writing about who we are and what we owe each other. That negotiation should not be settled in parliament alone, neither will it be settled in courting alone. It will be settled ultimately in the imagination of artists just like you. You, the painters, the poets, the musicians, and the muralists, the filmmakers, the spoken word artists, the fishermen who mean and understand the reasoning behind being a ruler. Not politicians, not bureaucrats, not even, I dare say, my profession where I come from, the lawyers. You hold the ruler. The question is whether you will use it. I believe this workshop is evidence of it. This gathering of artists and activists, a gathering of citizens who refuse to separate their creativity from their civic responsibility. This is exactly the kind of meeting that Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, if he were here with us today, would have insisted on. He would have sat right here, he would have listened, and then because he was above all an artist, he would have said something none of us would have quite predicted. That would have stayed with us for years, and I could never attempt too much. Draw the line, draw it truthfully, draw it boldly, then be the ones to drive it. I ask that we stand for 1 minute in silence of honor of Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. And thank you very much. God bless our artists, our country, and may justice be our shield and defender. Thank you. The MC?
Wapi makofi tafadhali? Tupigie makofi tafadhali. Banulienda wapi?
Nilienda kutafuta power. Yes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mumekuwa na sisi paka mwiso. Munataka kitabu hiki? Nikisema kitabu munajua. Nalewa muku mic check. Amukurudi na kitabu. Umerudi na kitabu. Tidhi chiemo nangu uora kionge buke mail card ka uono.
Kuna ndio hii, kuna ndio hii amekalia ndio hii.
I'm just allowing them to know what is coming in front here is very heavy. Donge. So I'm being reminded here that we have Octopizo in the building again with us today. Baba Fuanegia Fuaya kama mano mijumbe incoming Kibra tungachungi gona gini power Kume. Yes, thank you very much. I'm also reminded they want to kage magonga gola kofia tigoni power
mano magunga kata kineno longmoro wakono.
Yes. So right about now, allow me.
Allow you.
Nimeambiwa nitafute mtu anaitwa Kadin. Kadin. Mnamjua?
Okay.
In the meantime, DJ, wewe cheza tu wanatutafutia Kadin. Kadin ndio anafaa kukuja.
Unajua Gabiro mtangazaji. Leo tuko na wasanii hapa, si ndio?
Yes.
Na hii program ilikuwa ya wasanii, si ndio? Unajua kuna mtu amekaa kando yako na unajua hata anafanya nini. Si ndio?
Yes.
Si ndio?
Mimi najua huyu ana rap.
Huyu na najua. Kijana ya kutupiza. Tangu amezaliwa tu
Costa Kai, oketa chamo sausage, achaka chamo gweno, nyorobena chamo pilau, achamo gichunyu gweno. Mam sani.
Gabiro peja na tingo book.
DJ, tupatie. Tuna dance tena ngoja kidogo. Tuna dance tu ya mwisho tukingoja Kadin.
Tukingoja Kadin.
Sasa huyu sasa ndio master hapo. Mimi si ukiona zote ni left. Lakini nitajaribu. Donge.
Uko tu sawa.
Wade.
Uko tu sawa, shida umevaa short. Sasa bado uko sawa kabisa. I'm always nakuanga mtu mwingine straightforward so tunataka ku DJ utanipatia tu instrumental. Mara paso ngapi wako hapa ndani? Tunataka kwenda na tunataka kupeleka ndani wewe peke yako. Rapa, wewe ni rapa mgani tena? Wewe pia ni rapa. Yaani wewe ni msanii na bado ujiamini? Au unataka pawa? Wewe ni rapa. Wewe ni rapa, huyu ni rapa. Na sasa kuichuno wapi? Wewe pia ni rapa. Kama juu ya Arsenal sasa wewe ni rapa. Arsenal ilichukua kikombe. Wewe ni rapa. Rapa wewe ni rapa.
Wako wawili. Haya, wakuje. Kuja. Unajua hivi ndio hata heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven.
Watu wataingia.
Even though my polo to heaven muwinyo no. Tia kajo moko kudonzi kama na kama. Upenyi mana ni who is Jesus? Karibon one is the son of God. Ni yawa Yesu ni mtawara yawa mai. Who is Jesus? Iwijo. Aya. Eto gichung mabor. Adwa woni ne rapa uora. Ichung e diere gini.
Batanda mandero.
Chungka.
Kora chung kon.
Adwa wene rapa to gini to ingi. Aya. Koro. DJ. Sasa ngoja tu. Sasa hapa kila mtu ako na sekunde per day. 30 seconds. Uimpress watu. Sawa. Mtu na waamusha wa dance muke. Haya, tuamuke.
Kila kama msanii ukiperform unatupia mafans.
Ngoja kidogo. Sasa hiyo 30 seconds. Number 1, make sure ume-mention equity. Kwa hiyo 30 seconds, make sure ume-mention
equity.
Make sure ume-mention IEBC. Make sure ume-mention IEBC. Make sure ume-mention the fisherman experience. Make sure ume-mention the garden Bondo. Na make sure ume-mention Pepsi. Gikbogadi 5. Sema.
Yo man.
I have something to say.
Yo man.
Hiyo something to say utasema hapo kwa rap.
Yo man.
Sikia.
Gabiro.
Ngoja tu.
Wacha niongee.
Tulia. Something to say no. Anasema hapo kwa rap for the sake of time, so that we save time. Sawa. You mention, unasikia?
Gino yote.
Ngano wundi to konyara hapo. Wewe kwalo ni mwa Kenya maongo.
Kwa satemni.
You mention IEBC, you mention equity, you mention the fisherman's experience, Bondo Gardens
na Pepsi.
Pepsi. Hiyo ni wewe. Umeshika? Hilo. Sasa wewe unasikia wewe? You mention the fisherman experience, mention LSK, Law Society of Kenya. Batinya wacho ni LSK. Magijo gusomo tejogi somo nyaka no school na LSK. Ichaki watu useme shoje gine. Aguneno gini. Useme IEBC. Useme equity.
Yenia.
Relax. Na useme Aven Medical Center. Imako.
Gabiro kata.
Si huyu ni rapa, wewe ndio una rap.
Baada kuwa sasa LSK na Heaven.
Sasa wewe ni hivi. Wewe sikia.
IBC na Pepsi wa.
Sikia.
Ninasaidia na wapi? Sikia.
Sasa wewe number 1. You mention equity. You mention Baraza Media Lab. You mention Tico Hub. Unasikia? You mention Safari Link na IEBC.
Okay.
Umeshika. Sasa mnataka tuanze hapa ama hapa?
Yeah man.
Tuanze hapa.
Kwa sababu unajua you tell us to do what you can do.
Kama sikia. Wewe uimbi,
mimi ni msanii.
Sasa wewe pia nikupe vitu unasema.
Nipe.
Haya. Sasa wewe useme uburu. Useme power. Useme tunalinda wananchi. Sio ground. Tunalinda wananchi.
Tuko kwa ground tukilinda wananchi.
Kwa time ni maruero romo.
Sasa dongeni.
Useme fisherman. Na useme mununue tiko. Sawa.
Umesema uburu power linda wananchi.
Mununue tiko na fisherman. Sawa. Sasa tunaanza hapa. 30 DJ ngoja 30 seconds. Haya muamuke musangilie wasanii. Wapi kelele?
Yo, skia. Nyari Kelly, yo. Hi, yo. I'm grateful today to our Poko Fisherman experience. Yo, tunacheki vitu tunafanya. Hapa ni gardens, Bondo, everybody is happy. Tuko hapa tunaona what is going on. In case you find tuko sick and Havens Hospital. Wewe hapo kuna care ziko vita, alafu kelika kuna drink mimi napenda Pepsi. Every time unanipata live side tuko gardens, everything is okay. Tuko na buru na gabiro, everything's okay. So mimi I don't have much to say. I love that nakwambia.
Wapi wako wewe?
Msiseme tu ona fanyeni adua. Kwa watu wote wenye wamesema tulishasema wasanii hawatawahi rudi home njaa.
Hiyo ndio kweli.
Wote give me 100 octopizo to me alofachia.
Wewe chage octopizo.
DJ ukiwa ready tunaanza upatie huyu 1 2 3. Okay.
Octopizo waje ni bako tu.
Okay. The garden in the bumper hands in the air. The garden in the bumper hands up in the air. Hands up. Kama ina bumper hands up in the air. Kama ina nice hands up in the air. Ama unaya mimi na kampuni gay. Dili wanatoka na say. Big up Okto, tuko ndani ndakas, tuko baraza, big up baraza, metan Kama ina bamba hands up in the air. Kama ina nice hands up in the air. Kama unaya mimi na communicate, tell you wanatoka na Kama ina nice hands up in the air. Kama ina bamba hands up in the air. Kama unaya mimi na communicate. Kia tupate kiko wapi? Kiko hub sawa. Ati tupate kiko wapi?
Kiko hub.
Tupate kiko wapi?
Kiko hub.
Kauna nice basi tuende na mi. Kauna nice basi dance na mi. Kauna nice basi dunda na mi. Kama ina bamba hands up in the air. Kama ina nice hands up in the air. Kama unaya mimi na kampuni. They wanna to call the garden. Haya, wasanii.
Yo man, kuja longi sikuangushe. Kuja.
Kuja, simama. Tafadhali. This is what we do here. We also support. Wanajua ama wajui? Wanajua ama wajui? Ngoja, wanajua ama wajui?
Ati nani hajaiba? Nani hajaiba?
Huyu. Ngoja. Mnajua insurance hata yenye Haven wanatupatia hapa haitatosa yenye huyu mtu kama ata collapse utamanage. Msipatie mtu kitu awezani nayo tafadhali. Sawa. Sasa wewe uko hapo nimekueleza anaweza, unasema hawezi na hujakoja. Wapi makofi yao tafadhali waketi chini. Asanteni sana wasanii. Naenda ku make sure leo mnakubaliwa addition ya lunch. Sawa. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, right now Mike, right about now, allow me to invite on this stage our panelists for today, and the discussion is going to be on decentralizing the narrative. The moderator today will be Akinyi Ogot from Baraza Media. Tafadhali makofi kwake akikuja. Makofi kwake akikuja tafadhali. And joining the panel, we are going to have the Magunga. Wapi makofi ya the Magunga akikuja tafadhali. He will be joined by none other than Faith Odhiambo and Churchill Otieno, together with Mr. Ezekiel Juma. And lastly on that panel will be none other than Okto Pizzo. Wapi makofi ya Okto Pizzo. I think we're going to need an extra mic. But yes, makofi yao wakikuja jamani. Makofi kwao wakikuja. Makofi. Asanteni sana.
Asanteni. Amoso unokwe. Mko salama? It's lovely to see you all again. Kwa wale wenye walikuwa jana, kwa wale wamekuja leo, karibuni. Wenye mmesikia jina yangu ni Akinyi Ogot from Baraza Media Lab, but Baraza Media Lab in Kisumu. So if you're a creative, if you're somebody in the media space, tumewakaribisha kwa space. Iko like Base and Mall. I'm taking my 5 minutes of fame. Iko like Base and Mall, mumekaribishwa. We deal with creatives and media practitioners. I'm even seeing some of my people here. Karibuni sana. So for today, we are going to be discussing decentralizing the narrative. And on the panel, as you've heard, we have Faith Odhiambo, former LSK president. Karibu sana. We have Magunga, Kenyan author, storyteller, and photographer. Octopizo, award-winning recording performing artist. So karibuni sana, 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 sana. So the conversation today is about creatives and storytelling and civic engagement. How do we merge the two topics? And how do we also control ourselves in that space? So the role of creatives in shaping public understanding and also attention span online. People do not concentrate a lot these days. I think there's a report I read that says that people concentrate for 8 seconds. After that, people move on. So then how do we capture this audience, right? And how do we make civic issues relatable? Because sometimes there are people who do not relate to it, and there are people who do not feel it is important to them or that it touches them, right? And also, how do we make it accessible to the ordinary citizen? Leave alone people in the online space, but tukienda ushago, how do we talk to our parents? How do we talk to our grandparents around these issues and make them understand and not be influenced by people who they see on TV or hear on radio, right? So I think my first question will go to Faith. The legal and constitution conversations, right? They sometimes feel distant from young people. How do we make them? How do we make these issues easier for people to understand, especially the young people?
Well, I always say is break it down in terms of what touches them and what affects them directly. Today we'll be talking about cost of receiving and sending money, whether the increases will affect the same. When we are talking about cost of internet or access to internet, those are things that are like your daily consumables that affect your life. Cost of transport, whether you're using a matatu, a bus, or an Uber, the moment that is touched or affected, it will affect you directly as an individual. And so those are things that you can talk about and it will infiltrate, and that's why, and more so music. People don't understand the impact and the power of music, spoken word, as its raw form as it ought to be understood. It is through the artists that a lot of young people are expressing themselves and are also learning about a lot of processes and challenges that they face. As a lawyer, I remember a lot of Gen Zs would say that, well, you will go to court, but we're also disappointed sometimes with our court system. So we will do it our own way. And we will force change our own way. This way that you're telling us is the contrasts that have been created to ensure that we are not able to move forward or to change the society towards the way we want it to be. And so even through what we saw in 2024, music was at the center of that movement. And so music should be used effectively to send the message. Photography was a powerful tool that was used to tell the story of those who are being killed. It was used to synchronize and bring together a story of even the involvement of the KDF, which most of us thought was not involved during the killings. But it's through those different photos that we're able to be pieced together to identify who are the individuals behind those shootings and who shot who during those protests. And so we must use art the best way we can, because a lot of our young people recognize music, recognize art, be it spoken word, be it painting, as their daily lives. That is what they consume on a day-to-day basis. But what are the message that our musicians are sending out there, that our artists are sending out there? We see great artists even doing art to represent opposition or a revolution or anger that the society is going through. So through that art, through that painting, they're able to send a powerful message that when anyone sees that photo or sees that drawing, they're able to immediately connect to the current challenges and situations, or even on the way forward. And so we need to rethink, or artists need to remember the power that they hold and how they're able to shape and move our society. Because talking about bills, talking about petitions, they are nice and they're important because they fall within the construct of the society, but it's through music that people will learn their rights. It is through art that people will understand the direct correlation between the cost of getting from your house, or cost of, KPLC paying for that token. Why is everything changing? Why can't I afford it? The frustration of not being able to take your child to school, or why your siblings are not able to go to school because maybe schools are overcrowded, or the education system that is there is really frustrating. You don't understand why your sibling cannot get to the same level as you are. It'll sing and it will share the story that affects them on a day-to-day basis. And so I would say that let's focus on identifying artists that can be able to share that information, that can be able to bring that into life through the ways that our younger generation understand. Because music all through different generations has been able to bridge that gap from the young to the old. Be it, songs of Bob Marley to date is able to tell you about the revolution that was going on and his strong beliefs in what they wanted to see in the future. And so music can transcend different generations and can be able to touch the hearts of our younger generation. Thank you.
I love that. That's powerful, right? And I think even when we talk about the consumables, in 2024, one of the things that people really complained about with the finance bill was the price of bread. That is one of the things that really came out, and also the creatives being taxed. So I do agree with what you've said, and I'm loving that I'm seeing creatives here, and it's true. You guys do hold the power. You guys hold the power to make the change and to speak to fellow people and be able to reach their hearts. So thank you for that, Faith. I'll move on to you, Magunga. Why do you think audiences are connecting more with independent storytellers and creators online? Why is that shift? And on a certain level, I even feel people tend to trust them more, sometimes even more than what the politicians are saying, right? So why is that shift where audiences are connecting more with independent storytellers and creators online?
It's because there's a relationship. You've been following your favorite creators and content, your favorite influencers and content creators over time. They've opened up to you. There is a kind of vulnerability that they have. They entertain you. So there's a perceived notion of, is it perceived or is it real? But there is the idea that you feel closer to this person. This person is someone who has taken you through your struggles, whether it's with your skincare routine or whatever it is, and now they've become a kind of authority or authoritative voice in your life. Yeah, and that's now where the influence comes in. The independence is also plays to it because you don't seem to be swayed by money or by political affiliations. Okay, and independence here doesn't mean that you do not support a particular party or politician or whatever. It means that you seem to have a good head on your shoulders. So there is that kind of believability that comes with it. Yesterday there were different breakout sessions, and one of the sessions that were very full was the one for content creation. And so there is this appeal towards content creation and influencing, not just because of the financial benefit that comes with it, but also the kind of power that you get to hold over people. Now, it is actually a very interesting thing to be able to sway people, right? Politicians have it, and that's why they use it the way they do. And the other people who also have it is your favorite creators, your favorite content creators, your favorite influencers. Okay, you follow what they say when they always have your back and that kind of thing. And it comes with a kind of responsibility, honestly, so that you become more than just an entertainer. You become a powerful voice in the community. So, in your opinion, that's the reason why.
Thank you for that. I think you've even answered my follow-up question about influencing public opinion and the responsibility that comes with that. And I love when people fact-check each other online. When somebody says this and somebody creates a different video to counter them, and that argument ensues, and it's not even in like bad blood, but just to be able to get what is facts out there. So, and also, I think in as much as we are talking about this in terms of the civic space, but also let's look at how companies are using influencers to get people to buy their product or to consume their product. So that power that you're saying is there, is real. And let's not take that for granted, even as you're sitting here. There's power in what you do. Those simple videos that you post online, those simple sentiments that you post online, there's power in that. And so you have to be able to use that wisely and also hold yourself accountable before putting out what you're putting out, right?
And if you go back to 2024, during the finance bill discussions that happened that now later on led to the protests that happened, it was heavily driven with content creators and artists in general. It got to a point where the general public was asking people, if you're a content creator, what is your stand? Where do you stand? And if you're with the people, then we need to see you on the streets, not just tweeting. And so our content moved from the internet and spilled over into the streets. It was not just about now posting, I stand with the people. It was also about standing with the people in real life. And that's now a responsibility that you should be ready to take up going forward. If you have that kind of, if you will, that kind of influence. These people build you up, they prop you up to become who you are, and so you should not be scared to turn, you should not be scared and turn away when now they really need you to come and speak up for them. So for everyone who was at the content creation masterclass yesterday, you need to understand that it's not just about gaining popularity, it's also about standing up when it matters. And it is all fun and games when we are trending and laughing and dancing and all that, but when now your country calls on to you, you are required to lead from the front, on the front lines. Yeah.
And something interesting as you bring that up, also the people who are, should I call them posers, during the 2024 protests, were also called out, because there were people who would go to the streets, take pictures and then disappear. I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Well, at the time, I took all the support that I could get, and there are people who can support you. It looks bad. It actually looks bad when people are actually spilling their blood on the streets. There are people who actually pay the ultimate price being on the street, and then these people, someone comes, takes pictures. We tukoko mbele ya parliament, mtakoko nyuma university way, you know, a photo and then ubabako, right? It's actually a bad show when you think about it. On the other hand is that for those people, because of the influence that they have, for the people who were not on the streets or are outside the country or whatever, who follow them, the notion that they were part of the struggle inspires those people. I know it sounds bad, but it does, right? Even if all they did was take pictures and post, so long as they were on our side. And at the time, we took all the help we could get, whether you were pretending or posing, so long as the message was one and clear. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to say.
Okay, that's because we had a conversation around that before. I think that's why he's trying to loop you in. But I don't think he wants to say anything, so we'll move. So for Octo, your music and your stories connect deeply with the ordinary people. Why is authenticity important in storytelling?
I'd say the most, because people need to relate beyond music, and for me, I treat music as documentation of my own story, and I have to tell it in different ways. I imagine it in different ways. So there's my Kibera story, then that's it, then you grow, then there's the other story, then there's the school story, and then there's just fashion, there's style. So there's so many stories, but they all has to be around how I grew up. Because there's so many people in those neighborhoods too, who probably are artists or just music lovers that relate to that story. Like if you do a song about, let's say your mother, everybody has a mother, you know? But if I do a song about a Lamborghini that I don't have, it can be imaginative and fun, but it will not tie down to, it will not relate more to my community, because that's not something they see on every day. It will look just like, oh, I'm bragging or something. So I think that's why it's always important that people can relate to you. And when you walk out, you know the way we say, politicians, they have like two versions. And nowadays every politician wants to be a celebrity. And now celebrities want to be politicians. It's a crazy world, but that's what it is. You know, but you know, leaders should not be celebrities. Yeah, we should not like see you like people cheering. Like, what are you doing while people are cheering? I remember telling somebody, if you're a border rider and you do it so well, why should we cheer? And you're doing your job. It's like if you're a governor and you're performing, we should not be clapping. We should say, okay, good job. Maybe we should vote you again next time, but we should not be your fans. Like, politicians should not have fans, like people following them around. They are service providers. It's like ule msa wa customer care wasimu, like, hey, how can I help you? Lakini sa imagine hapa kwa street anatembea na magoons, mimi ndo customer care bana. So I think nakumfikia ni ngumu. So then it goes back to the authenticity of also leadership and civic environments. Why many young people are now related to like content creator and artists is because they are speaking their language, probably. They're supporting probably the same football team. Nowadays I see, if there's a football team wins, every politician is posting the same, wearing jerseys. I didn't mean to support ball. Sasa mnakaa tu others, mnakaa tu hiyo nyinyi hiyo group. Because now it has just become a fashionable thing than like, are you really a fan of Arsenal? Because coming to a Liverpool. Lakini sasa nikisema ati ningekuwa mbunge sana napiga jezi ya Arsenal na najua mimi ni mtu wa Liverpool. Ndio nipate ma fans. So I think this is why authenticity is so important. Like, just be you, and whenever you are yourself, I think there's so many people who can relate to that.
Okay, for me, I'm a communications person. So one of the things that we've been seeing, especially with the videos that move, are the videos that are raw and edited and not so made up. And you find those are the videos that's in a trend. So even if you're out there, don't try and emulate somebody else. You can borrow, but ideally what people want to see is you, right? So we can move on. So this is open to any of you. Do artists have a responsibility to speak on civic issues and social issues, or should they remain independent from politics? Of late, we've been seeing the trend of cancel culture. So sometimes you find somebody will say something and people don't take it well, and then they are cancelled. So should people speak? Where is that balance where somebody still has the freedom to express themselves, even if it is not what the masses want, and also being able to, to say what they want? Yeah.
The artists should be. People forget artists are humans first. So it's just like a doctor, a lawyer, farmer. It's just a profession, just like any other. So they have choices, they have things they like, things they don't like. Now the difference comes when you have influence. So when you have influence, the expectation is so high. Either some people want you to be neutral, because you have fans, I think all across the divide of politics. So kuna mafano wako wa UDA, kuna mfano wako wa DCP, kuna mfano wako wa ODM. And people have this fear of unknown. So nikichagua side ya ODM, mfano wangu wa UDA na nini watanitoka. It's a thin line, but I think every artist still need to make like now they become human again and then say like, okay, this is my stand and this is what I support. This align with my values as a person and as an artist. But when it comes out to influence, I think if today nimeitwa niende nipige show ya UDA, am I going there as a supporter of UDA, or am I going there as an artist? Yeah. So there's a thin line. But wase watanibasha ati msana kufanya show za UDA.
Yeah.
But tuseme for instance msa ameshinda marathon. Si anaendaga State House anapigwa kibanda.
Jo ana represent Kenya.
Na hakuna mse uteta. Kwani sisi tuna represent Kangemi? Sasa sisi tuna represent Kenya. So I think when we, especially the mass, if they start seeing artists like, okay, this is his profession. Like Orengo has been lawyer, even Wagashagwa. Nobody has ever judged him. Yeah. So if I'm going there for work, it's like niaze Okto tunakam kuzo pige set ya 10 minutes wishie. When I stand and say 2 terms, I may make political. Ama when I stand and say 1 term, ni may make political. But nikienda pale nipige show, nipigwe maziwa zangu, nizidi. Naenda bado linda mwananchi. I'm still doing my own thing. And I think that's how for me it should be.
This is what I want to do. Before I give it to you, I would want the crowd. What do you guys think about that? How would you see it? How do you perceive it when you see your musician or your artist? There's a hand behind there. I don't know if you can get another mic. Kama nipeleke.
Thank you. My short take would be that if Okto were called to do a set with a political party that the masses probably do not expect him to align with, then I think it would be best to, decline the offer. That's my take.
It seems this is a very hot topic. Let me start here as we go. This is how we are going to do it. We are going to have 3 people from this side speak, and then we take it back here, then 3 people, and then we take it back here in the shortest time possible. So we start here. 1.
Yeah, so with me, this is something I've wanted to hear, but today I'm very grateful that I'm hearing it from an artist who is having experience. Okto has said that we artists, we are human. There's no way we are making money. So mimi nataka do. UDA nimeitwa, ODM ni wastinji, sindo? So they want me to remain mimi ni mtu ODM. I be there, but I'm hungry. Na UDA niitwe mimi nende nipige show. It's just simple venye Okto amesema. You just go there, do your set of 10 minutes. Don't be political artists. 2 term, hizo tunaachia watu wa siasa. Yeah, so you just do your thing, and then after that, you go. You don't care about what the public will say because they won't feed you.
May I get one from this side?
Thank you. Okay. Sasa mwenzangu amesema, okay, amesema the public won't feed you, which is somehow rude, but Okto ako right, lazima kule. Hauwezi kanja. Wakitaka explanation, maybe wataipata kwa forum. Watia fanye chenye anafanye cause wanajua the artist is the crowd mover. Without Okto, hawatakuwa na numbers za kuweka kwa kamera. So Okto must be there.
This is getting interesting. The pressure is increasing or decreasing? Increasing or decreasing? Huyu ameinua sana. Alafu nakuja kwako.
Okay, sasa mimi like niko na example. I can remember when Toxic Clerically aliitwa State House. And the guy akafika huko State House akaperform. Hatukujudge hiyo by the way. Alijajiwa because like hatukujudge the performance, then what we judged
jamaa alienda stage akasema 2 term. Then later after performance jamaa narudi alafu anaanza kuchesha na mambo za 1 term. So atujistand yake, yani atujistand yake.
Okay, I'm going to take it back here, and then just raise your hands up. I'm coming. Oh, waendelee. All right, this side and then this side. Yes.
My opinion, an artist should not politicize his shows, even when we personally dislike Ruto. I mean, they want some brigade. So when an artist is called to perform where Ruto is, I will not judge them, because we are looking for money. That is the end goal. End up, you perform. Don't be in the 1 term or the 2 term. Just do the work that you're called there for. So we don't tafute pesa.
Huyu amesema the enemy is poverty. Chukua majani, nenda nyumbani. Wacha tusikie huyu.
Good afternoon. Henry Ohaga. We are already poor, whether we like it or not. We are suffering financially. When you stand out there, and let me give you an example. The other day, the president excused some people who had been convicted for raping kids. Okay? There are things we can't pretend about. I know we have to make money, it makes sense, but there's something called conscience. I want you to imagine your 4-year-old was raped, and then the president of Kenya makes a decision to remove that person out of prison. Are you going to breathe? Exactly. So you cannot tell me there's a middle ground about that. There's no middle ground about it. Yes.
Guys, I completely, vehemently disagree with Okto, with you, all of you guys here. Completely. Here's the thing. Asante sana. Nyakisi. Listen, doing the right thing is not easy. It has never been easy. And sometimes it will mean that your pocket will suffer. If Okto is called by tuongea ama tu Ruto akikuja akaita huyu jamaa aende perform. There is a reason why he has picked Okto, and probably not the guys who are singing here today. Do you know why? Because he has influence. The first thing, or the first mistake that I feel like Okto made, is that he said that being an artist is like having any other job. It is not. It is not. How many teachers do you know who you follow and you will follow around and will jazz this place 10,000 people? None. Okay? But an artist atakuja, apige show, 10,000 people will listen to him. You have an immense amount of power that these people are looking for. And every single time you are associating with them, you are lending your power to them. Umesikia? There will be other shows. You don't have to do the show that UDA is doing. Okto, you're not hungry. Okto, you're not hungry. Okto can do without this show and still live well. Okay? And I also disagree with you when you say you should not make your concerts political. You should, because life is political. And these people who are misusing your money, these people who are killing your children, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, and your fathers, these people who are stealing NSSF money, and that's why people who are retired cannot live a life in their golden years. These people who are responsible for the negligence that led to these 16 children burning in a dome in Utumishi. These things are systemic, okay? And the only way that we can ever rise up is the way we started doing in 2024, where we drew a line, a very thick line, and we said we are not crossing over on the other side. So when you come and tell me that you are only just going to sing, you're not only going to sing. Even in the United States, you can see it every single time. When Obama was campaigning to be president, Akina Jay-Z, Beyonce, and who have you go and perform. Why? Because they are trying to attract the power and influence that these people have over their audience. You artists have more power over people than even musicians do. Utaenda mahali utapata jalanga kila every concert yenye kuna mjaluo utaona jalanga. Unadhani anapenda muziki? Sianaweza sikiza muziki kwa nyumba.
Unaona? This kind of association is where the problem begins.
You want to say something?
I want to say something.
Okay.
I want to say something. So I think his point, nimeelewa his point about influence, the side of influence. But let's say for instance, kesho tuko na show hapa. Ruto akipull up hapa. Remember,
there is a difference between uko na show yako hapa and then Ruto akapull up. And kuna difference where Ruto is doing a concert and then you go there. Those are completely different things.
So now listen. Now I want to bring it home kabisa. Sasa hiyo ODM tuko mara mbili. Kuna Linda Tumbo na sisi. Okay? Wase wa Linda Tumbo wamekuita show. Remember bado ni ODM. You respect the ODM values, not an individual. Kuna venye wase walikuwa wanasema mimi napenda Raila lakini sipendi ODM. Sasa sisi ni watu tuna believe on the ODM party and values. You are invited by the party, not by individual. So seme hapa hivi kuna show ya UDA but Ruto hayuko hapa. But yeye ndio face ya UDA. So technically unasema by default
I'm not going to.
You are supporting.
This is a conversation that can continue.
Also another thing you have to realize as an artist, ukitoa hizi vitu uko na bargaining power. Sasa ameleta hapa story ya Toxic. Toxic performed akashuka but akapushiwa tena na Itumbi aseme tuta. Akarudi stage. Yeah, he didn't say this on stage. Ali perform akashuka akaambiwa umesahau unajua nani analipa.
But it's
okay. Yeah, and he had the opportunity to say. So now that's what we say as an artist. Now you have the power to say like, I don't think hiyo naweza sema. Mimi nimekuja hapa kupiga show.
Allow me to loop in Faith. Faith, where is the freedom of expression? Where does the freedom of expression and accountability meet? As we've seen people having the different opinions. So where does that freedom of expression and accountability that Magunga is saying, as an artist, you have that influence, and how do you use that influence? So where does it meet?
You know, listening to everyone's very heated and passionate beliefs, you must also respect the other side's beliefs. And I remember there was a time that in ODM the challenge always used to be voters are bots. And I remember one time Baba said, kula hiyo pesa si yao, ni tax yako wameiba, wanakurudishia tax. And so take that money, but remember we are voting how? 6 piece, now wisely. And so you see, this is the balance of a reality that you must check. Even as artists, as you sing, as you try and build that divide. Because this is the same country where before even the eruption in 2024, we were seeing on news, grandmothers boiling stones for their children before they sleep. Because they don't have money for food. Will you tell that grandmother if she got 200 shillings that usichukue, Ruto ataua watu? Will you tell that grandmother that? You see, this is a reality of poverty. I'm not saying that we take Ruto's money. But look at the reality of the society that we are living in. And now we must sing a message to remind people, be loyal when you're voting. Remember that this person is giving you money because they know there is no other way they would get your vote, save for that coin that they're giving you. But you have an opportunity to change that and be able to get that money directly by opportunities opening that these grandchildren of yours may one day go to school and get an opportunity. And I say freedom of expression ought to be respected because remember when Wangari Maathai was undressed, when she fought for Uhuru Park, we were young children at that particular time and she got naked. It was a scandal. And many people were not with her. The late senior counsel Feroz Norji was one of the very few lawyers who went to represent her. People were saying she's mad. How can a woman undress? But if it wasn't for her undressing, we would not be having the Uhuru Park we have today. It would be a concrete. Today we are still fighting to preserve the various forests. We see what is happening in Karura. She fought for Karura forest. And at a time when it was unpopular. at a time when people did not believe in what she was saying. People thought that she was going against the grain. Remember, so many years we have been silenced, and that's why Kenyans continue to fight for freedom of expression. You remember the Moi days that you could not even mention his name. People were whispering his name. This is the reality of the Kenya we live, and that's why we are fighting so hard for this Constitution 2010, because we do not want people to be silenced. You cannot go out on the streets, you'll be shot. You cannot express yourself in the internet, you will be picked up from your home at night. People disappear in abandon. You must be able to express freedom of expression. And I always say this cancel culture that we're building and developing, let us watch that we do not start in fighting, because the best way for a dictator to win is divide and conquer. Because once you're all divided, you're canceling each other, you're in this side, you're in this side, we forget the main goal. How will you ensure change if you're fighting between one another? Remember how the colonialists ruled. They would set up some, your chiefs, your important people, versus the others. How do you think the white people were infiltrating? Do they know how our cultural systems work? Did they understand our roots? Did they know how to get to others? They were using the same black man to imprison his other black man. We must remember that if we are seeking for change, a true revolution, we must come together. People must remember that what is our north? Where are we going to? Do you want to see actual change, or do you want to fight amongst each other? And as you're wasting time fighting amongst each other, someone else will continue to rule you, will continue to direct where you're going, will continue to determine your fate. Someone is sitting there saying we're not going to invest so much in education. Why? Because uneducated people are people who demand for more, who ask for more. So you must remember your true north, because some of these things that we do, you don't even know where it emanated from. And remember, even there was a time that Gen Zs were afraid because you did not know who to trust, because they used that opportunity to infiltrate. And so you could not understand, who do we trust, who don't we trust? We must rethink and reunite ourselves, because if our true north is that we want to see a change, let us remain focused. Let us not subject ourselves to unnecessary distractions that are not going to help us get to the destination that we want. It is the unity that we come together that is going to ensure that we make a change in this country. And if we start looking at each one another and saying, you're dark black, you're ebony, you're yellow, you're what, these are the things that are going to bring us down. I ask ourselves that let's remember, freedom of expression is important because it's different voices that are able to bring a collage into that painting. It's our differences that make us wonderful. Everyone should be able to express their opinion without being afraid. What difference are you from the dictator if someone raises their voice to say something and then you shout them down? Aren't you just like the ones that are ruling, the ruling class, who are telling that children should be, if children come out and speak out, their parents should be ready for the repercussions. You have not disciplined your children. The ones who are saying, Wakenya wapigwe na mkwaju. What is the difference? Let us remember, we must respect each other's freedom of expression, but let us amplify the message that we want. Ignore the nonsense. Focus on the message that you want, because otherwise, divide and conquer will continue to be the order of the day. Thank you.
Oh. That was heavy, harsh, but true. And I think it fits so well into the direction the conversation had taken, right? And so that's how sometimes we lose the mark, even as we are both fighting for the same thing, and then we end up in different teams. So again, the same question that I've asked Faith, I still want to ask Dr. Pizzo and Magunga, and then I'll move it again to the crowd. Where is that intersection between accountability and freedom of speech? Because you're creators, you're people who the masses follow and they listen to. So where is that intersection, or where do they meet? Freedom of speech and accountability.
For me, I'd say my freedom of speech is always on my music. I think when Faith to amesema before tukaa moya unge wa mention, I've had harsh songs about this government. My music is very political from the beginning. So that's where my accountability comes. Like, I will question even if you're my brother and you're doing something that is wrong. Like, this is wrong and this should not be done. But I don't think that should make me, get me to a level that we have to fight. Because I always feel like that's where people miss their accountability. Like, we can disagree to agree, okay? Like, maybe we like almost 10 things the same, but we don't like the same one thing. So now we are going to throw all this relationship because we disagree on one thing. We can disagree to agree. And for creatives, I think it's good not to be neutral when you have new influence. Yeah, I don't think as I say, I think that you'll just keep quiet. Like, there's police brutality, unanyamaza. Like you're watching your brand. As much as when you're in those spaces too, almost 80% of media, Nini, it's owned by politicians. So some of us have been even blackballed. We don't even get airplay anymore. That's why we thank the internet. Because sasa nimekukriticize na naleta ngoma ucheze na station inaoniwa na Gideon Moi, they are not going to play it. And they say this music is too conscious, it's too this, it's too sensitive. But you see, that's where now the digital environment has helped us. So you can't still say like, kwa nafanya hizi ngoma. People can be shot in the street na unatoa ngoma ya kudance the next day. That means either you lack empathy, or you just neutrally don't care.
I like the last point you've said, and this is something that was happening even with the protest in 2024. Most creators, when people were posting about the finance bill and the protests, and then mtu anakuja na post content yake ya kupika, watu walikuwa wanamwambia, this is like, read the room, this is not where we are right now. And it doesn't mean we are silencing you, it just means at this time our focus is somewhere else.
You are allowed to do what you want. That one is a right that people died for you to be able to make whatever choice that you want. Maybe that's where we should have begun, that you are allowed to take part in this process, or you can sit it out, okay? And you're free to choose, by the way, whether you want to be on this side or this side. That's really up to you, and I cannot dictate to you what you should do with your talent. What I'm here to say is to provide my perspective, that when you are given so much power, there is responsibility that is attached to it, okay? And time will tell. Time will be the judge of how you used that power, whether you used it to perpetuate injustices or to fatten your pockets, or you actually stood with the people. You stood by the right thing. In 2024, a number of us creators decided, actually we were next to Parliament when police opened fire, okay? We were there shooting photography, videography, we were documenting the struggle, because that's also part of the struggle, okay? And all of a sudden, we couldn't speak in terms of, we couldn't send even messages. There was a total shutdown in communication, okay? We know who was the provider of the telecommunication, that I don't need to say their name, okay? And we got home, total blackout. Tunasikia Githurai, people have been killed, okay? And you cannot send a message through. Internet ikarudi saa 3 on the dot as the president is coming on stage. And from that moment, I, and alongside other creators, we decided that we have worked with this company for years. They have literally built us up from the ground as creators. And we have also worked together for a while. But when it gets to a point where you switch off internet, like that in a moment of struggle that is pushed by digital engagement, then you have chosen a side that I cannot be part of. And so I said, I'm never going to work with this company again. Okay? I didn't ask other creators to do the same. I just chose my side. Akinombachi, we also say the same thing, and a lot of other creators, we decided. We were leaving money on the table because we know that gigs will always come. We are content creators, and our power cannot be diminished, and it can never be squashed because we refused a single source of income. And up to today, I've never worked with them anywhere, and I'm still here with you guys because the power that I've been given, I will not sleep hungry. I know that for sure. So when I say that you are allowed to do whatever you want, you are. And when I see other creators working with the same company, I have no problem with that. Okay? But I myself, in good conscience, cannot bring myself, given the things that I saw during the protest, to work with this company. And so when I say that you should not lend your power to people who are oppressing you, that is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that you are now the devil's incarnate because you have chosen that particular side. You are a human being, you have your basic needs. I am not in your shoes, I do not walk in your shoes. I can never relate to what you're going through to make you make that choice. So long as you know that in your mind, the choice you have made stands on a particular side. And that is where accountability comes in. And I said that there will always be other shows. We saw BN going through it this past few weeks with the show that he did. And it was not so much that he did the show, but how he handled doing the show. Because other people did the show, okay? Other people, even Costa was in that show, but Costa did not receive that kind of backlash. Unaona? It was just how he handled it. But you see, as he also said, we are human, and maybe he made a human error at the moment. And so, have I cancelled him? No. I don't think that it's gotten to a point of me not working with him ever again, or rather me not listening to his music. But at least you know that what you did not sit well with people. And that's it. Make your choice, use your art the way you want to use your art, but just know that there are actual consequences to you lending your power either to this side or this side. That's all.
So I want to take it back to the crowd. Accountability and freedom of speech. What do you guys think of that? There's a hand behind there.
Hi guys. My name is Omande Victor. Stage name Prince Madanje. If you subscribe to YouTube, you will find me there. As for me, what I can say about this conversation, that the freedom of speech and accountability are at equilibrium. And when you speak, you must be accountable of what you are speaking of. Let's say you are like an activist, you are like an artist. You are somewhere composing your songs or writing content. Before you put it online, you must sit down, analyze what you are writing. Because what it has gone outside, let's say there is other people that will analyze what you have written, whether it is right or wrong. Let me tell you that even sometimes when let's say you are moving a song for Gen Zs, and us like Gen Zs, there are some manners in us that should not be contented when, like you are an artist seated down, you are writing a song. Kuna tabia ambazo hata wewe ukienda kwa ubinadamu, kaa tu vizuri. Mtu anaandika wimbo, alafu uende ukae tu chini uporoke vitu vingine ambavyo hata mama yako akikaa chini hawezi sikia. Just because you are moving a song for Gen Zs. Let me tell you, even sometimes when you are writing something or speaking of something, when you are now placed that this is what you said, is it correct? That is where now accountability is coming. These things are rhyming and they are going in one direction. Yeah, that is my point.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Na hawa ndio wanaongea tu. With all due respect.
Okay, we have talked about freedom of and accountability, but we should look. This one going to the former LSK leader. we should look of a way of protecting these upcoming artists. You want me to speak of what I'm seeing, you want me to express myself, but don't forget, why am I asking for this protection? Because there are some established artists. I'm a visual artist, yeah? There are some established artists. They are already in the pocket of the bosses. So they might be trying, or they will be trying to press you down in every way. I'm sure hata akina Okto hapo wanaweza kukuambia, because you can find maybe sometimes the artworks I'm creating are very radical. They talk to anybody around, including those established artists. Because don't forget, tukiongelea mambo ya Okto, tuliongelea mambo yake ya kuperform, ameitwa perform. Mbona sisi kama wasanii tunalala njaa? Kuna gatekeepers. Si mambo ya ati lazima kunini, yani oppress inakaa indirectly pia. Ana gatekeep huko. So mimi nikipata chance, hata kama nimetwa na mtu mdogo, I'll just go for that man. So hiyo shida ianze ati nakatazwa kuongea, but our gatekeepers, we have to look for a way ya to make sure everybody is free. Every artist is free to express him or herself.
I have a question for you. You said you need protection. What does protection look like for you? What would that look like? So if you're addressing Faith, what would you want her to do that would bring about that protection that you're talking about?
Okay, laws ziko, sijakata. Laws ziko to protect everybody. But how safe am I kwa hizo laws? Like hata gatekeeper neza let me say neza ignore whatever he or she is doing to keep me away from expressing myself. Because laws ziko in just nini, let's say ni vitu zimeandikwa tu, nikaa kupatia mtoto mdogo vitu asome na elewi. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to respond to that?
I think nikitry kumwelewa, for me, I think from my understanding, as especially visual artists, I follow somebody called Banksy. Banksy is very political. Sahi, as artists, at a rapper, they're using our lyrics in court. And me, I was just being metaphorical. I'm a writer, so na try to make bars zenye watu wangu wataelewa. Alafu unapata unaambiwa, I'm seeing it in the US, hapa sijui bado, unaitwa kotini, sema you said you will kill niggas. And now niggas are dead. So, inakuwa tena, so you killed them. But I was just expressing myself. I've seen cartoonists being arrested because wameandress president, wameandress maybe politician, wanaanza kufuatwa, wanakuwa kidnapped. I think from his point of view, hiyo ndo protection anauliza, like where do we go to in this? Because even mimi nimekujiwa over some songs. But so luckily sometimes this is why it goes back to what Nani was saying. When you have influence, they kinda wanna tread carefully. Wanna tread carefully na wewe. But sa ukiwa mnyama mdogo, it's easy for them kupotea na wewe. But unasema Okto watu wa Kibira itabidi watoke wote na itakuwa shughuli nyingine hawataipenda. But sawe kawe ni mnyama mdogo, umefanya pia we the same thing Okto did, but now they are coming for you. And you don't know how to protect yourself. Yeah, I think that's, for me, that's my understanding.
So I would say that when I was giving my speech, I talked about forming associations. Associations are the best way because you're not one person, you're many people. So if it's for visual artists or just association of upcoming young artists, and even you can do it by county. And so you bring yourselves, like this is a good opportunity to come and know who is in this network. Create a WhatsApp group, then think about forming an association. Now when they know they're addressing 100, 200 people, then they tread carefully. I'll give you an example. Law Society filed a matter with the Bloggers Association, and it's now even at the Supreme Court level. They would have never had gotten there had it not been propping up from working with others. And so also you come to the Law Society, go to Katiba Kenya, there's Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, Kenya Human Rights Commission. There are various organizations that work together with different individuals to represent them. Remember, we were even representing the young man who put the president in a coffin. Law Society was involved, and that's no one. He's a young boy. He's not involved in any big work. You could say the gatekeeper who are being kept away from all these other opportunities. But Law Society has been responding, at least during my tenure, and even this current Law Society has said they will continue to represent people on public interest matters and constitutional matters. And there are even so many other associations. So that's why, and I encourage you, form an association. But even if you can't, get the contacts of these different organizations that you can send a distress call. I'm being arrested. You know, I used to get distress calls on all social medias, out on Facebook, on X, on some who have my phone number would send me on WhatsApp. So it's your ability to just get contacts of these organizations. Most of them all respond, and they're able to come and help you. So don't feel helpless, particularly in this day and age where digital means of communicating is available on different platforms. They will definitely respond. Even if you just get their Twitter handle and you're able to send a distress call, they will be able to respond.
I think that speaks a lot to the power of community and coming together. So I know we've spoken a lot about the creative space and artists. I want us to move sasa tuongee sasa kupiga kura, like, you know, as just a voter, sindio? I don't know if you guys are enjoying the conversation so far. Iko aje? Iko poa? Iko BA? Sawa sawa. So we were having a discussion earlier, and there's a lot of voter apathy. So not many people wamechukua kura, even in terms of numbers. So somebody, Magunga was the one who was asking, does someone who doesn't vote have the right to complain and hold the government accountable? So watu wameenda wamepiga kura. Kuna wenye wamepiga kura, and this one, before even you guys speak, I think I'll push it to the crowd. Wewe hujapiga kura, but you want to complain, and kuna mtu mwenye amepiga kura. So does someone who didn't vote have the right to complain and have the right to speak about the government of the day?
Okay, for someone who did not vote, they don't have any right to complain about the government or how the government is mistreating the citizens, because at that time they had that right. It is a democratic right. It is It is there in the constitution that you have to vote. It is your right, and no one can deny you of your right. So you had that time to go and exercise your democratic right by registering as a voter, by voting the government that you feel like will serve your interests, that will make your life easy as a citizen of Kenya. And the moment you did not exercise that right, you don't have any say, because voting is already you have a say. Ukivotia mtu nataka, already umeshasema I wanted this person, juu nilikuwa najua ni yeye anaenda kuserve my interest akiingia kwa government. So peshinda hapo we complain, na time ulikuwa nafaa kuvote, you are just sitting there.
Leo hata kuna leo ni nataka mtu hajaongea, huyu hajaongea, huyu tangu wakuje Wipa. Unaitwa Wipa, si ndio? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Wipa. I'm a content creator. Okay, first and foremost, everyone has got a right, whether you have voted the government in or you didn't vote the government in. It's your right to say you are doing this one, and this one is not this one is against the civil rights of the people. And me as an artist, what I want to say, if you are an artist and a good artist, it would be better if you don't join the politics side, because on my view, like the LSK chair can say, when she wants to join the politics, she has to resign. Same way, if you're an artist and you want to join the politics side, you should resign. And I hope I'm safe, because I know Octo is not a good person. He has got a record of thrashing people. So I hope to. I'm just a content creator. You know, it will be very sad if we see a Grammy artist like Octo being tear gassed on the road there and carrying souffle on the head, saying no. Me as a fan, I feel so sad seeing him there. But now I don't have anything to do because I'm his fan. So I hope he will guide us. But anyway, what I can say, for us as content creators, we have to vote. But even if we don't vote in, you have the right to say no to anything that is wrong. Thank you so much.
Osungu wenye na osungu tu wenye mnasema hapa ndani. Hapa. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. I'll answer your question with a question. And I'll piggyback off from what Faith said about unity, right? We're at a very critical time as a country. We're headed towards elections. Now is not the time to ask, if you don't vote, do you have a right to, speak about the oppressions and whatnot? Now is the time to ask, why do we have voter apathy? It's because we don't have such platforms for civic education. Watu hawajui their politicians, their roles, and what they're supposed to do. Hata wakienda huko kwa polling station. Watu hawajui polling centers ziko wapi. Kwa nini? The people who are supposed to tell us about these polling centers, wamekaa chini, while us as citizens have taken it upon ourselves to use our platforms, even with our 500, 300, 200 followers, to tell people, hey, ni time ya kuregister, go vote. It's because we don't have such things, or we are not supported by big organizations of funding to make sure that hata watu wenye wana access to this information wanajua. Hatupigi hizi story na auntie zetu, hatupigi hizi story na our grandfathers, to tell them that this is your right, to make this choice. So why do we have voter apathy? It's because we are not educated civically. Thank
you. Jamani, wacha huyu hajaongea. Okay. All right, we are going to have 2 here and then 2 here. So huyu ni 1. Wacha nipate mwenye atamfuata. Wewe umeongea. 1, 2.
Okay, I'm Stanley from Jaboya Band. So first thing ningependa kuadd on my sister's idea yenye amesema ya watu kuwa informed about everything. Unaona ikifika pande ya conversation ya freedom of expression, haifai kuwa limited to voters only. Unapata msee alienda kuvote, ametoka huko na alama permanent one, hawezi enda station tena kuvote, unaona. But kwa kijiji kuna ule, unajua watu wanajua tu kuna executive president au mpaka MCA, but wanasahau kuna watu kama the chiefs wenye wananyang'anya watu mashamba, hakuna kitu anaweza fanyiwa. So this conversation inafai kwetu kila mahali na everybody anaweza address. Hata mtoi mdogo anafaa kujam na aseme no daddy unafanya pale kwa nyumba. Yeah.
Yes, Papa Roji hapa. Most times issues about voting, if the trend has not been quite well, right? You find like last time I voted Raila, nikifika napita 2 estates hivi nauliza wenzangu umevote, mtu anakwambia hii ishaibwa, it demoralizes you. That is 1. 2, how do we make our content creators strong in creativity, to have not to have political loyalty? Sasa zile unataka kuperform, how do we make ourselves strong so that we are not carried away by political loyalty? By this I mean so that it doesn't affect our imagination, honesty or artistic freedom. Ili to control, how do we work on that? we are upcoming artists. How do we work to be strong so that we are not carried away or we are not controlled by political loyalty? Hiyo question inanisumbua sana. If that one could be explained, the upcoming artists, remember we have time huko mbele. How will we work on that? Such that ukiitwa performance unajua tu vizuri una perform unalipwa bila kusema one term or two term. How do we find ourselves in that category? Thank you.
Haya, nipate wawili hapa. Mmoja hajaongea, nataka mtu hajaongea. Kama wako turudi ama tupe mtu achaongea. So you are
Thank you. So everybody has a right to raise concerns or issues on whatever thing they feel, irrespective of whether they voted or not. That is one. And then number two, any elected leadership has a responsibility over every Kenyan, because then if only people who voted need to complain, then it means like we are creating a divide, and we are trying to say that them that voted should be comfortable with the regime, when let's say the regime is doing the opposite of what they said. So whenever we are electing, and we have very many people have presented themselves for election, and then we the voters, we decide to vote, or those other people decide not to vote, once that government is elected, they have a responsibility to them that voted, them that did not vote, them that were in diaspora. Because then, if we just say that voters only should complain, what about the children who are born on the 3rd Tuesday of August? Because we do our elections on the 2nd Tuesday of August. So, but there are children who will be born into the regime. By the time that regime is going to end, they will be 4 years, 5 years old. They still have a right to complain when things are not right. And then to address the question of apathy, particularly as somebody who is a resident of these counties here, like a rural dweller, over the years we've seen that there's a trend that has demoralized people. Number one is, I probably some of you do not go to, especially the rural polling centers, where it is already defined. It's an election that gives us an illusion of options. Somebody is trying to make you think that you're choosing or you're electing, when in real sense the outcome has already been defined. I mean, we already know who is going to be there. Like in Sierra, for example, that's what people are like. We already know who is going to be there. And then based on the way the aspirants have behaved, probably pre-election, I would give an example of where I come from. I come from a Lagos Songa, not Bondo, the other side where we have Sierra Town. And you'd find that it's already defined. People are like, Siatakua, so like, why do we even have to vote? And that is why you find people winning with very small, tiny votes, like the last by-elections we had in Ugunja, where in a place where we have 60,000 registered voters, only 20,000 were able to show up, and that 20,000 was able to give us an MP. So basically it's just a system that wants to make us think we are choosing, when in real sense we are not choosing. Thank you.
Hello. For me, I'd like to just address the question he had on artists and the political loyalty. Personally, I think it just depends on the individual. So at this point, it's your character and what values you hold. So if you haven't built on your character, you're definitely going to be flaky. So autajua utasimamia wapi. So in terms of the way maybe Octo said ati amenda kazi, like if you don't have money, and in the same situation, Magunga was like, najua nitapata kazi zingine nikie hata hii. So it's just a character thing and your values. So if it doesn't align with your values, are you strong enough to say, this doesn't align with my values, so siendi huku?
Hata hiyo kizungu mupige makofi.
Thank you so much. So there's a lot that has been said, and there's a lot that can still be said, but time, Cindy. So even as you contribute to that last point, but also give us your parting shot. Yeah.
About whether you should complain, whether you vote or not, my stand is very simple. You do not lose your citizenship as a Kenyan when you do not vote. The Bill of Rights still apply to you, and you still pay taxes whether you voted or you didn't vote. And so the leadership that is in place, whichever way it goes, is supposed to serve you. It's supposed to serve whoever voted, didn't vote, or didn't even vote for them. That's how politics, or rather that's how democracy is supposed to work. However, it is not very helpful of me to come and sit here after all this work has been done and tell you that it is okay for you to not vote. It is important. It is very important that you register to vote and then you go have your say at the ballot. But I will also not stand here and call somebody unpatriotic because they did not vote, or say that they are less of a Kenyan because they did not vote. It is easier, as she said, that we handle why these people do not want to vote. Why did all those, how many young people didn't vote in the last election? So how many millions? Why did they not turn out to vote? No. So those are the issues that you're talking about, that it is preconceived, so I do not want to go try because, tunajua ni nani anaenda kuvote, so you do not. So we need to remind that person who is saying that they have the opportunity to change that outcome, him and the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that also think that way. Unaelewa? See, that makes sense. I'm not being in the middle. That's just the truth of what it is. Sindio? As a parting shot, we are here because, or I'm sitting here because I am a content creator. I have done okay for myself, and I am here because the organizers thought there was something important that I could say to you, which is this, and I've said it throughout the time I've sat here, that do not diminish the ability or the power or the responsibility that you have with your voice, with your art. Okay? Use it, and use it well, or use it wisely. I'm not saying that you're going to be a saint. Nobody is, neither am I. We have our mistakes that we make, okay? But there are things that you can control. And if it is about just walking around or using your social media or your content to push for a better country, why not do that? Because it's going to help you in the long run. All these things usually come around. So let's meet on the internet and let's spread the good message, okay?
Mintaeko Kenya boy alisema, I think I don't believe in this stuff ati msana sema tushajua nani atashinda. I think it's a narrative that is being peddled so that it created more apathy, because people don't have the civic awareness of what their rights are or what their choices are. Kauku home saa zingine mimi tu wanaweza penda kuregister na polling station iko like 30 kilometers away. It's not like urban. So unapata anataka kuregister ana fare kwenda 30 kilometer. Inamaanisha this is a job of IBC to bring this thing close. Wakisha realize hapa kuna like a crowd of like, you know, hata kama ni 2,000 people. Mbona wase 2,000 will walk almost 30 kilometers just to go register. Registration should not be a job. Like, if I were as tedious as it is right now, and I think for me this is one main thing that has caused less voter registration, especially in rural areas. But unaona malika mtani naweza walk every like 1 kilometer kuna place ya kuregister. Wase ni wajanja. Internet iko, like there's so much things going on compared to here. So I don't feel ati history ati umse anaenda kushinda. I don't believe in that. I believe people are not have not been prepared civically enough. In 2022 I was doing a civic drive in 8 counties. When tuseme kasa hivi washafunga mass registration, We went, applied, and we got a bunch of IBC people and walked through 8 counties. We got 2 million newly registered voters, but only 300K voted. So 1.7 didn't vote. And I asked, like, why did they not vote? And I said, hakuna candidate wake, hakuna mse amembamba. And now this goes to my friend who was saying, like, kama wewe ni msanii na umeamua kurun for office, inafaa sasa uache usanii. Udelete YouTube. Itakuwa ngori bro. Itakuwa ngori bro. Cause hiyo nika kwambia lawyer, wewe umeamua kukua, unataka kuwa rais, choma hizo certificates zote za law. Ndio maana nilikuwa nasema this is a profession. Like me, I think I treat music differently maybe from other people. Kani time ya kwenda studio, I treat it like office. 8 to 6. Ikifika 6 bado sijakuwa creative, funga ofisi na enda home. Sikai hapa ti midnight atinyaze maboy wa kamu wa resh nipate jo nichanga, yani inspiration manze, inspiration. No, this is the office. Yeah, 8 to 6 I close naenda home. And I think when you choose to start treating your work not as a hobby or something you just like, and you treat it like, hey, ini job namka 8, what do I need to make? I need to make beats. Do I need to write? Do I need to call producers? Do I need to look for collaborators? Inakuwa so serious that it's like kwa surgery. Ukienda make ngoma mbaya, you invest, your do inachomeka. For us that are stepping up for leadership, I don't think leadership is something unaamka tu unafanya. I believe in my community. Nimevotia wase kibao, nimeona makosa kibao zenye wamefanya, na nimekuwa in a situation as a private citizen that I've done more than my member of parliament. Inafanya na feel some type of way. Like why do we have this guy if only community leaders are doing more than elected leaders? As a community leader you can only do enough. Juu sasa kuna areas zinafika za policy, like you don't, kama tusemeka Kibra tuko na shida ya shamba, Nubians and stuff. You can't do that as a community leader. You have to be a legislative so that you table like, so amekuwa hapa over 40 years, 50 years, we need to do this and that. This is not something you can do as an artist. Yet niko na mabeshte wa Nubi wengi na wanasumbuka huko mtaani. This is why we are stepping up for these offices. Na kumekuwa na hiyo question like many artists wakiingia huko wanageuka, wanakulwa na system, and I think that's the biggest fear of fans. Lakini naweza sema at that point everybody is individual. Kila mse akona personality yake. Venye yule madam anasema it goes down to your values and what you believe in, and every choice has a consequence. Mimi nikiamua tinaenda kuperformia msana madawase, lazima nikuwe very prepared for the consequences. Unaona, so siwezi enda tu konseme niko njaa. Venye nani alikuwa anasema labda unaweza get utaget event ingine juu unajiamini. Is the same conscience. Pia mimi naweza sema mimi sitaki event ingine, nataka hii na nichoree. Unaona? Yeah, so is the same consciousness. Unaweza sema tu wewe utapata ingine ni sawa, mimi nataka hii iko na maziwa refu alafu nazidi. Unaona? And we can't be mad at that point. Venye nani tu wamesema wase wengi walikuwa hiyo Africa Forward nini. I was there personally as doing my work that is not music, but people didn't cancel me. Because najua naenda pale na values zangu, naenda pale na representation zangu, and I will also say, nyinyi hamjadudio mmetuita hapa lakini hizi vitu zote hamjaongelea wasanii, hamjafanya hii. So those places also you don't just shy away from going and then una complain from inje. Sometimes you go where those people are and you raise your voice. Sema zenyi mmekuja hapa kama mara 3. Mnatuambiaga tu hivi, mnatuambiaga tu hivi. Adele was there. I think that's what she said. She went there and said like, hey, you guys have been here, the history of, the European people and Africans venye mmetufanya. She stood her ground. So these spaces are not only ati ukienda hapo unaenda kuconform. Unaweza enda hapo na usemejo mimi nimekuja hapa juu tumefanya hii shughuli siku nyingi na kuna kitu mnatusaidia nayo. So tumekuja hapa kuambia mwache hii mchezo. Those rooms, don't shy from those rooms to get in those rooms. It's the same way we don't shy from getting to leadership just because wase tumekuwa tukivote wanatumes. Yetu unajua kitu kufanya. Ni kama mse ako nje ya game. Nasema sisi ungepasia nani? Wewe ingia game. Upass. ingia game upa. So hiyo ndio tunaweza sema as creatives, be as conscious as possible, but national consciousness. Sile consciousness umepiga nduku sasa zimekushow. Consciousness yenye unajua hii kitu yenye nasimamia mtu yako coast atakuwa safe. And I think for us this is for the most important reason of voting. Power equal parliament, because parliament passes every bill. And that's why si tulikuwa na noma ya parliament sana. Parliament passes every bill. So kama 90% of parliament imebaiwa na executive, hakuna country. But kama structures zilikuwa zina work na mmevote the right people wanajiamini na hata kuku ikwe president, serikali inaendelea. Ju structures zina work, tunafuata structures. But our structures zimebendiwa hivi, and I think that's where law ina come in. Hiyo ndio question yangu naweza muuliza is like, I feel like say wabigi wakipewa court orders, they don't do it. Hawafollow wakitwa kotini. So inafika saa ngapi tunaweza believe court itakuwa side yetu, even if I do the right thing at the wrong time, ama the wrong thing at the right time. Umsa amesema ana believe saa zingine mimi naweza ndani mchote na maboy wangu tumpigize maziara. Saa zingine tunataka tu uone jo adventure bana. Uone siaya ufurahi jo.
That's very interesting. Maybe to start with your question. You know, court orders must be obeyed. We have already seen the court issued Katiba orders barring our government from setting up, procuring, or in any manner setting up these Ebola centers in our country. That's kudos for them even for making that decision. Remember, we are coming out from a country that they used to, you remember the story of the red phone? Mtu anapigiwa simu anaambiwa hii decision inaenda hivi. But now we have our judges who are risking life and limb and deciding they are going to issue orders against government. So for me, I always say, first of all, let's get that court order. The second thing is to ensure they enforce that court order. And that is why it needs the concerted voices of many people to say, there is a court order, why aren't you obeying that court order? And number two is to hold individual persons accountable. You see, once they refuse to obey a court order, you look for who is the responsible party who is supposed to implement that court order. Is it the PS or the CS? And you look for them to be held or put in jail. You see, sazile tunasinkwaya, we are government, we are the government. Everyone is okay. But when court orders come for you as Maxwell or as Michael, then you change. You realize, atuko government, ni mimi ndio nitaingia ndani. LSK has an history of ensuring the enforcement of orders, even going for personal individuals. And that is what should happen. And you, even as an activist or somebody who wants to make change, you would be part and parcel of those who are filing those petitions and seeking those people to be held accountable. And we refuse to give audience to those people who are refusing to obey court orders, because they must be obeyed. And that's the unfortunate thing, because I remember people telling me on my X that why should we go to the courts yet they will not obey court orders? We will use each and every means that is available. You will use the courts to give us those orders. If the courts give those orders, the next thing is to fight for enforcement. And then there's other civil ways of self-expression to tell the government, you must obey these court orders, because this is our lives that is being put at risk. And there are so many orders that, you know, the beauty is once the record is there, that these orders have been issued, then you try and identify them. That's why you would see police were using balaclavas, trying to remove the number plates from the cars, because they know the implication. When you're held as an individual person, there's a reason why I would go around to different police stations and police were not happy. And some were even really scared. Why? Because you identify them as individuals. I say, sila umekata, atumeambiwa powers from above usijali, nitakufuata wewe mwenyewe. Ndio utakuja uambie court powers from above. That is how you make difference. That is how you make the change. It's never easy, but you must continue doing it until it drills in the minds and hearts of our politicians. Remember, some of these politicians you're seeing doing the things they're doing, they are from the Moi era. They are from the Moi era and are striving to bring back authoritarianism and dictatorship into this country. Forgetting we're in a new dispensation, we're in a new order. And it's up to you in this age to fight for that dispensation and order. To fight for right for your voice, right for your expression, and to fight that court orders must be upheld. And that's why even me, I call out sometimes even different judges and courts. Because I tell them, don't think you're living in another country, you're living here with us. So kama ni fuel tutailipa sisi wote. Kama ni kifo tutapatana sisi wote kwa hiyo kifo. So you must remember, as you hold that pen, you're deciding between the life and death of somebody. I remember when we were in court about the KDF case, Kenyans in large numbers joined until the system was jammed. Why? Because everyone felt that people are being killed right now, and here you are dilly-dallying, picking calls in between a decision. And you see, it was personal. It was not a question of us rallying and telling people. People knew the court decision was being made. Everyone joined the platform, participating and ensuring. You see, even these courts live in a certain demography. They have children who ask questions. Remember, even during the Gen Z protest, politicians' children were calling them out. They were saying you're an embarrassment. You have gone and voted. I remember one particular politician, aliambiwa, start brushing your comedian skills. Na uanze kurudi TikTok na X because tunakurudisha nyumbani. We are tired of you. We put you there to make a difference, but you've gone back and reneged against the voice of the people. And never say this thing that we already know who is going to win. The reason why that is possible is because you do not go to vote. Remember, if 60 people are registered to vote in an area and only 20 vote, it means it gives them a playing field of 40. Or maybe even in the 20, 10 came and voted, and you've given them another percentage. And so it's an issue of trying to make it realistic how many actually went to the voting station. But if 60 all vote, tell me how will they steal those votes? It is this notion of being told your vote will be stolen is the reason why people are failing in their duty. I'm saying you're still a citizen whether you vote or not, but be a citizen who participates. Elections is one day. People wake up 3 in the morning. I've seen lines from 3 in the morning till, the end time, 5 p.m. or whatever extension based on what time they started the voting process. Faithfully standing, some even demanding, fungue hizo ballot boxes tuone uja staff already. Watching vigilantly till the end. That is patriotism. Not for a given individual, but to yourself. When prices are high, we're all suffering. Nyanya, kitungu, ukijaribu kupanda matatu, we are all going to suffer the same. I saw people on X saying, we hope what government fuel kwao ni 100 bob. There is no fuel that is 100 bob for anyone. We are going to suffer the same repercussion, the same pain. And remember, as much as people are saying these matatu drivers have failed us, at the end of the day, who matatu drivers, when tax increase, where do they pass it off to? To you, passengers. If they don't care, they are not losing anything. Because they're still going to make their margins and their profit. So what they do is, fare inapanda. If it was 100, inafika 150 au 200. Si lazima utoke hapo ufike nyumbani. Bado utalipa. Or you will be walking halfway. Or you start walking one way, you come back with a matatu coming back home. But the people who will suffer will be still me and you. So register to vote. And today IBC is here. So everyone who is saying that because we are not educated, and your creators pick this opportunity to learn, get the right information. And I love because Gen Zs are good in fact-checking. Fact-check. Then share that information in whatever way you feel best. I've seen different contents being shared. Crazy Ken, I loved one that he did on police. The way they leave a place where today they have quelled a demonstration. Anaingia na hiyo helmet, now his balaclavas, everything kwa room yenye ni, I don't know if it's a one room or just kikombe. Anaingia kikombe, akona his metallic mug. He tries to fry an egg. Things are all over the place. Mosquitoes zinamuma. Well, then the boss calls him when he has a whole spread on the table. Powerful and very short skit. A very powerful depiction to remind those who are guarding us that you're not even, your masters are the ones benefiting, yet your life is on the line. You're not benefiting at all at the end of the day. And you as a citizen must remember your loyalty to the Constitution first, to do what is right. That if you go out, you're shooting other people out there, you're going to be held responsible. And you know, the cases that have been going, even if there are few, holding individual police officers accountable, you see how others react thereafter. Because now they are scared. Because they say, nani alibebo, we are assured that nothing will happen, we can just kill. But now they're seeing each other being arraigned in court. And that should be the way. That's what should remind us of how we ought to be patriotic. So don't feed into that notion. Tell one another, if we all go and vote, they will not be able to steal that vote. When you don't vote, someone has the opportunity to play around with that vote that you do not go and cast. So go and cast that vote. And try and identify or find leaders and ask them hard questions. Start from your MCA. MCA should be someone that you all know, or your member of parliament. And if it's civic education, I think these are things that we can organize and do and ensure people know who are your leaders or what their responsibilities should be as they take up these different mantles and why it's important for you to go out there. Do those skits, do those poems, do those short music promos that you have. Use any medium that you have once you get that information, because that's how the message will spread. You might have 10 followers, 100 followers, 1 million followers, but slowly the message will permeate. Let us create a revolution that is unstoppable of young people. Why aren't young people registering to vote? Why aren't young people coming out to vote on that particular day? When there's an unstoppable movement that stems and starts from you, not the politicians, from you, there'll be no reason why every single one of you will not be at that ballot. And I leave with my parting shot is the artist as the ruler. The artist has the power, has the privilege, and the audacity to change thinking of so many people. You can be a conscience that reminds and pricks people. Why can you sit and enjoy food on the table while someone, the next door neighbor, is boiling stones? Why can you sit and continue walking comfortably in the streets while you're watching your brothers and sisters being shot down one by one? You remember the artist as the ruler. Take your power. Thank you.
I hope as we finish this session that you've gotten something. And if you felt that it has been decided for you, it has not. If you felt that your vote is not important, it is important. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you for coming, for giving us your wisdom, and for you for listening to us and asking questions and participating. Asanteni sana sana sana. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Tumemaliza. Asanteni.
Makofi kwao jamani. Makofi, makofi, makofi. Yes, yes. Tunashukuru sana. Usiwayo jamani. Hey, thank you very much for amazing, beautiful insights. I think this session we need to have it again. Watu wako very active hapa, You people are very, very active in such matters, and it is amazing and very amazing to see that all of you here are really, really yearning for change in our country. So as our guests leave one by one, sijui niseme ladies first ama wakuje tu hivi, tunawapigia makofi tena, makofi ya kilo. Yes, asanteni sana. So photographers wamepotea. Tunaomba picha jamani. Huyo anaitwa Chero. Na nyinyi hamutaki kuwapiga picha? Hamuna simu? Oh, kuna ingine pale.
Okila doesn't sing. Kumpumba baba bada.
Asanteni sana. Le. Thank you very much. Haya, DJ, ngoja kwanza. Wapi Aduol kuja. Kazi haijaisha. Mwakibeti cholo nango. Haya, sasa DJ. Sasa sikia. Tumeshakuwa na rappers, si ndio? Najua tumbo nayo ina nini. It's talking different from the mouth. So this is what we are. Madansa muninulie mkono. Kama we ni dancer, inua tu, sikuiti hapa mbele. Nitakuita tukirudi. Haya kuja. Nataka madansa watatu.